Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
All right, let's make some New Year's resolutions. 18 days into it. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm David Nuño, and he is Olin Buchanan. Just don't make eye contact with me, OB.
Just don't.
Don't make yeah. When Harry met Sally. So let's chit chat.
Let's do.
When the new athletic director comes in, whenever that may be, right? What does he have to fix, or she? What do they have to fix? What do you want to see from the athletic program? And before you answer, I think the biggest hurdle has already been corrected, which was on the football side of things, changing the philosophy there, embracing NIL and the transfer portal differently. But let's talk about the entire thing, because Aggie athletics has fallen short of what my expectations for this university to be overall, even though I do feel like the arrow's pointing up.
Well, they're going to come in as far as the competition is. I guess you evaluate your coaches and look at their contracts. Look, I think probably every coach is safe. Most of them are being very successful. Plus, you're paying another coach $7-something million not to coach, and that probably gives coaches in other sports some degree of job security. I think that the first thing that they should do beyond that is start looking into upgrading the baseball facilities, because I think that was a promise that was once made, and it's something that, I mean, it's not like Bluebell is a dump by any means. That's not true. But if you say you want to be, the best and everything, then why not make the upgrades that you said you were going to make? Or that was you, the new athletic director, did, but the A&M program did. So get some traction going in that direction.
Yesterday on the show, Billy talked about, making sure that whoever they bring in not only embraces NIL, gets it, is creative, is innovative.
Well, I agree with that.
Builds a plan towards, and to me,
but I think an AD is also there to support the coaches. And I've said before, and I don't want to hurt any feelings, but you start with the coaches of revenue-producing sports, and supporting the football program means understanding and doing all the things within NIL now.
If we go through the list of coaches here, I think the incoming athletic director there's still a TBD on a lot of them. But as I mentioned when we started, arrow pointing up, it feels like in several areas. You look at softball.
Yeah, I don't see how you look at softball and have any issue with what's going on there.
Baseball.
Absolutely. You have, baseball's doing great.
Yeah. Men's and women's golf. Pretty darn good there.
You're really good there.
Tennis pretty darn good there. Basketball, I think
going for equestrian.
Oh,
they're
sorry.
Good.
Basketball, Joni's got it rolling.
She's doing well.
And Buzz, we're hoping figures it out this year.
Maybe they were 1 second away from everybody feeling that that's in good shape. So I don't think it's time to panic there yet either.
This is a talk in a talk show. You You go many different directions on topics, even if you don't feel strong about them. Track and field, Coach Henry. They got the facility. They can run at home finally. Who else am I missing? Did we get it all?
I think that's it.
Volleyball, Jamie Morrison.
Oh, yeah. Jamie
That's
Morrison.
my guy right there.
Came in their first year. They get into the tournament. Did well.
So you feel good about the coaches that are here.
Yeah,
right?
I do.
But an athletic director coming in is like, all right, I got arrows pointing up all over the place. Football looks like this is year one of a project that hopefully doesn't feel like a year one on the field, right? Hopefully it feels like...
It may not.
Hopefully it feels like year 3 of Jimbo.
Yeah, year 3.
And continues that trajectory, right? As opposed to coming off a cliff. So you've got a lot going for you. You've got the facilities. You've got the money. You've got the fan base. You've got the coaches. Now go win.
Yes, I've always said there's nothing that a coach, even Jimbo Fisher said this, there's nothing that a football coach needs to win at a elite level that Texas A&M does not provide, whether through resources or geography.
Yep.
Nothing.
Absolutely right.
So, all he had to do was acknowledge that he was the problem with his offense and maybe have run a tighter ship.
Look, how about just don't be stubborn? Be open to evolving and changing.
You can be stubborn when you've got a 10-year deal that's going to pay you.
Sure. But I'm talking about athletic director who comes in. Be willing to evolve because college football is going to continue. College athletics, I should say, is going to continue to evolve and change, and you've got to be ahead of it.
But that's why I hope, and I don't know if there is. I hope there's a great candidate that went to Texas A&M,
yep.
And I don't know that there is. And if not, somebody suggested yesterday Oliver Luck, and that would be a home run. That would be a home run in the bottom of the ninth. That would be a Adolis Garcia against the Astros home run. Remember that one?
I do.
That would be that kind of home run.
I do. I don't love it, OB. I try to move on. As you see how I look the away. Hey, by the way, what time do the Cowboys play this weekend?
They don't.
Oh, my bad. I did. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
In fact, they're not going to play until 2025 now.
And I hear that your coach is sticking around.
That's what I'm saying. I tell myself this, that I'm just going to give up and wash my hands of them because as long as they have this buffoon on the sideline, talent will take them so far, but he'll always find a way to screw it up. And yet I know, when they kick off next year, I know I'll be watching. But you know what? I won't be watching with expectations, and that'll make a difference.
It'll change when they start winning.
What? Yeah, but I'll always know that when they get into the playoffs,
it's over.
It's over because as long as this buffoon is in charge, they'll always come up short. They'll always choke.
Remind me, did he run Bill Parcells off? Did he fire him? What was did Bill just get sick of it?
It was kind of like the first agreement was that Bill Parcells would be in charge of them. And Bill Parcells went out in his first draft, I believe he drafted Marcus Ware.
Yeah.
And the guy, the big guy on ESPN that people like from LSU, Marcus
Spears.
Marcus Spears.
Yeah.
He had 2 first-round picks. He made that. Okay, boom, great. And then they ended up winning their division having a winning season. Then everything was going well, and it was the same old thing. Yeah, but Bill's getting credit for building this team, and so then it became he
was there 3 years maybe,
I think, and then he was then the same old Jerry thing. It's got to be about me.
Well, this is my point. Jerry's got the not amazing. What it looks like when a coach is super successful, he gets rid of them super quick. Jimmy, right? Like Bill Parcells. When they're not so successful, or they're lacking somewhere. Mike McCarthy's had some winning seasons, but he hasn't produced in the postseason. When there's that, you know what? I'm going to give him another chance, Jason Garrett. I'm going to give him another chance.
Wade Phillips.
Oh, I like Wade.
Wade was an idiot.
Yeah.
As an defense coordinator, fine. As a head coach, he was just
a buffoon.
Yeah. There's a lot of buffoons on the sideline. One was a clapping buffoon. At least the other 2 don't clap.
Can we? We're jumping on.
I wish Cowboys had D'Amico Ryans.
I'm glad they don't.
Yeah,
I'm really glad. Did you see that video that I retweeted yesterday?
Him
talking to Christian Harris.
I saw that.
Isn't that great?
And it's coach.
If you guys have not,
of course, they played the same position.
Yeah. I mean, if D'Amico's the kind of guy that if he tells you, you're going to listen. If you haven't seen the video, it's on my Twitter feed, but regardless, D'Amico Ryan's talking to Christian Harris the series before the pick six. He told him to, just play the quarterback and it's going to be yours. There was more football talk in it. And next series, 4th and 2, I think it was, Christian Harris did exactly that, took it to the house.
Christian Harris played receiver in high school.
Did he really?
Yeah. Both ways, but yeah, receiver. Yeah. So not surprised.
Not surprising.
But, if you had a similar conversation between McCarthy and he'd probably be something like this. All right, it's 4th and 2. Look, if you just play the quarterback, whatever happens. But what are you having for dinner afterwards? What would you recommend I have at, fill in this restaurant? Because I think he spends more time eating than he does coaching. Can you tell I don't like Mike McCarthy?
I think we're going to move on. It's TexAgs. We'll get to Fargo's in a minute. TexAgs Radio, presented by Dare Gardner's Jewelers. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call us up on the Brian Foley Law hotline. That number, 979-693-1150, or you can text us on that number as well. If you're athletic director, what are your New Year's resolutions, I should say. Let's go behind the glass and check in with Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Well, cool little story I want to share with y'all real quick. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter or not, but our boy, friend of the program, Leon O'Neal Jr., told us he was looking for some playing opportunities, trying to keep his career going, and boy, did he get one. Edmonton Elks, the Canadian Football League team, signed him yesterday, so he'll get a chance to go play some more football. We got to get him back on the program.
We do.
Talk about that sometime soon, but just really happy for him. Awesome to see that.
When I saw Elks and Leon, I was like, did Elko do something? Like, that's what I thought, because it was a quick glance.
What I didn't know is that Edmonton had changed their mascot, I guess, to be...
they used to be the Oilers.
Eskimos.
No, Eskimos. Sorry, the Edmonton Oilers were the hockey team. Yeah.
That Wayne Gretzky played for.
Yeah.
And so Edmonton Elks, which is cool, I think.
Wayne went from there to the Rangers?
I think he went to the Los Angeles team.
Yeah, sorry, Los Angeles. What were they called? The Kings. Sorry. And then from Kings to St. Louis.
Did he do that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I thought he finished.
I might be wrong. I might be getting him confused with Brett Hull.
I thought he finished in L.A., but I don't know.
Richard's, you're probably right. Richard Zane's listening like, dude, don't talk hockey. You don't know.
Because I think his wife was an actress, so he wanted to get to L.A.
And his daughter is married to somebody famous.
A golfer, right?
I think so, yeah. God, we don't know nothing. At least I don't. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. OB, are you familiar? We have a new person working there.
I see that.
Caitlin Torn. Am I saying Torn correctly? Is that how you say it?
Like Rip Torn?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Torn.
Like Rip Torn?
Rip Torn is my grandpa's cousin.
No!
Really? I thought I was just kidding around.
Was.
How awesome. And he was an Aggie as well. The great actor.
Yeah, of course.
Big family of Aggies.
Yeah.
Everyone in my family is an Aggie.
Do you ever meet Rip?
I didn't. I think he passed away before I was even born.
Gosh,
maybe.
I feel like I
He's
saw.
the coach in dodgeball.
He was not. You were
Patches.
Wait, hold on.
Houlihan.
Houlihan. Wait, you weren't born for dodgeball?
I was born in 2003. When was I don't know when dodgeball came out.
Oh my gosh!
You've seen it?
I've seen it.
Movie. Yeah. I've got to find.
So how about
2004? You were one.
I was one.
We're so old. Oh my god! That was like yesterday.
I'm just excited that we have someone who's a descendant of Rip Torn, or maybe not. A fan in the Rip Torn family.
In the fam.
Hey, family.
Tell us a little bit about you. Like, what are you studying? What do you want to do? Let us know who you are.
Yes, sir. My name is Caitlin Torn. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm studying telecom and journalism here at Texas A&M, going into the second semester of my sophomore year. I'm really looking to go into some sort of sports broadcasting. That's like kind of why I'm here. I'm trying to learn from these two. They're the best. And
well, yeah, you're probably right.
I think y'all are the best. That's pretty much it. Just trying to dip my toe in the water. My favorite sports team right now, it's probably, I have kind of jumped on the Texans bandwagon train a little bit. I'm from Houston, kind of had to, but overall it's definitely the Aggies. I don't love any other team more than here.
Does your family get crazy during Aggie football games?
Yeah, we usually can't really speak to each other the whole time. Everyone just kind of watches by themselves because tensions get a little high, especially during football season.
Yeah, that's right. What news do you have for us this morning?
Yeah, we've got So big news, especially yesterday with the tennis team started their spring season 1-0 against UCLA. We had freshman Tiago Perez. He won his first match ever of his Aggie career.
Congrats.
And head coach Steve Denton won his 348th career win yesterday against UCLA.
Another good dude right there.
Yeah. Came over from the dark side, but he's here now.
Yeah.
So we like him.
What else do you have there?
We've got the women's basketball team playing on Sunday. They play South Carolina. They have been undefeated at home so far with coach Joni Taylor. We've got Janiah Barker averaging almost 13 points per game, and then Sahara Jones with just over 9 points per game.
I think she led the team against Tennessee. I think she had 15, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
South Carolina, great white shark to fry. But let's see what happens. I'm not discounting anything that Joni can do.
If I remember correctly, didn't they lose to Iowa last year in the tournament, and they were expected to take it all? Am I getting that right?
Something like that. I have to admit, I just remember the Iowa and LSU game. But we didn't mean to interrupt.
No, y'all are good. Y'all take it.
No. We insist.
We're back to you.
Back to you.
Well, at the Tennessee game, that was actually A&M held them to a season-low scoring output, winning 71-56 here at Reed Arena. That was it.
That's it. All right.
Game.
Caitlin, good job. Thank you very much. Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
All right, Olin. So if there's a bunch of coaches, you know, I'm trying to think of something, and you're like, I'm going to invite you to go eat at Fargo's but you can't go. Give me the 2 coaches that are going and the 2 coaches that can't go. Go.
Well, Mike Elko can go.
Yeah.
And you're talking about head coaches?
Yeah, or anything. I don't care.
Of all sports.
Of all sports. Yeah, or NFL college.
Oh, well, Mike Elko can
He's
go.
going.
He's going. Okay. And NFL or college. I prefer D'Amico Ryans.
Okay, great.
I like him.
I think those 2 together would be a great lunch with you.
And the one that can't go is Mike McCarthy.
You're not inviting him.
Because I know I don't want to reward him. He has let me down too many times. I will not reward him by letting him sit at a table and experiencing the sumptuous feast that is the barbecue at Fargo's.
So I want to picture this scenario. You're sitting there at Fargo's, right? You've got D'Amico with you. You've got Coach Elko with you. And then in the glass, you see Mike McCarthy looking through.
That's exactly.
And he's like breathing hard. And he's like, I just want – and what would he be eating today if he could get in?
If we were there today, it'd be pork chop. So I'd pick up a fried one, and I'd pick up a grilled one because you can get your choice. And I'd say, Mike, which one do you want? Which one? Point to one.
And you wouldn't give him one?
Heck no. You know what I might do? I might throw in the bone when I'm finished.
Oh, okay. That's
I wouldn't. I'd take it home to Buck.
Okay.
But I'd say, hey, I got the macaroni and cheese. I know you want it, and I would like
that, let the heat kind of hit
fan the aroma toward him, just to let it, to torture him the way he on a Thursday, the way he typically tortures me on a Sunday.
I'm taking this too literal. The coaches are like a community, right? I'm sure Coach Elko and D'Amico are like, come on, let him come in. And you're like, no, this is my lunch.
No, this is personal, Coach.
1701, such a random one. 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan, without a doubt. The what?
The best barbecue in Texas, i.e. the entire world.
Did you know that's your trademark?
I know that because it's true.
It's Fargo's. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U. David Nuño, Olin Buchanan. OB, people are asking. I know that you've got a thought on it because we talked about it pre-show. Rodney Terry.
Yeah.
He seemed to be a little disappointed with the horns down. A little disappointed.
I saw that. That's
like he went to each and every player and told them that's classless.
I think I would be more worried about losing a 16-point lead and be talking to my players about losing. But, that's just what you get when you're dealing with Texas. In fact, did you see this bulletin that the University of Texas has contacted the Southeastern Conference demanding that as of the August when I think volleyball starts, but all sports competition demanding that brass sections of opposing bands be required to play nonstop in athletic competitions involving Texas so as to prevent them doing horns down.
And you got this information from where?
From the web. Yeah. So no horns down. You got to keep your
hands up here.
Your trumpet up.
But what if you're like, you could do it backwards?
No horns down.
Would it bother you a thumbs down?
I mean, no. I
don't care.
You know what bothers me is going to Mississippi State and hear those godforsaken cowbells all the time. But I don't whine about it. I just kind of think, gosh, I need some earplugs or something. But it reminds me of the guy from Missouri, though, that when we found out Texas was going to be joining his name was Cook. And he said, if you can't handle the horns down, I don't know if this is the conference for you. I like Rodney Terry. He seems like a good guy, but that's what coaching it or being at Texas does. It skews your thinking in that I'm going to be upset at my opponent for doing a horns down when they came from 16 points down to beat me. And that's what I'm going to be been out of shape about. I'm sure he was mad at his team too, but who cares? That's what college teams do.
Yeah.
Imagine the LSU has a certain cheer that's pretty vulgar, and yet everybody does it. And this is a league with the gator chomp and all that things, and then the cowbells and the.
How do you reverse the gator chomp? You just close it.
I would guess, but people would make fun of them for it, and all the things that you do to torment your opponents in the SEC, and you're going to go into this treacherous swamp and say, if you do your hands down, I'm gonna be upset. Come on, man.
Well,
come on, Rodney. You're better than that.
When your buddies would make fun of you growing up, you have to embrace what people do. Like, be fine with it, because if not, they're going to keep doing it, and they're going to do it more.
People always make fun of my nose being so big.
I've never heard of them say that.
Oh, well, yeah, because we're adults now. You were talking about, I have a big nose, right?
I didn't notice.
All the guys and all the kids in my who were in my Spanish class called me Nose.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
That's pretty good. Now that Billy's heard that, that's going to be used.
But you know what? I looked in the mirror one day and went, I have a big nose.
Okay, cool.
So, all right.
You got to embrace just like whatever. Like
Mac Brown used to get upset about.
But what do we as Aggies take as offensive as the horns down? Because all fan bases have something. What upsets us? The NIL thing upset us because it was factually incorrect.
It's just a lie.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're
8-4.
That people, well, hell, right now I feel good about 8-4. I think some of them make, people. I don't know. I think people make fun of
the yell leaders.
The yell leaders, okay.
That's tradition,
people make fun of the yell practice. All right,
whatever.
We don't care. We don't care.
I don't care.
Well, here's where I get upset is when some people go on social media or whatever and they make these. I'm going to try to be really careful here. They make these comments about A&M. They're vulgar about A&M being a farm school and livestock. Like, oh, that's terrible.
Let's feed the world.
The people that feeds the world. Yeah. But you know what I'm talking about. That, I think, is crossing the line. I think you actually called a church one time because it turns out an associate pastor had made those kind of vulgar comments on social media. And remember that?
No, remind me.
Oh, you were telling me about a guy up around the Waxahachie or somewhere area, and he made on Twitter some kind of.
Oh yes.
So I think that's crossing the line.
I think I contacted that church.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
So I think that's way over the line, right? Anything beyond that, I was on a podcast. And the host had a couple people, and there's a guy from Tennessee, and he just goes off on A&M. He's talking, it's a cult. I'm like, let that go. Everybody says that. I'm listening to him, and he's on his rant. And then he says, it's one step away from David Koresh. And I interrupted then, and I said, you're an idiot. And then on their podcast, I said, F you and F this podcast.
You said it on
yes,
air?
I did. I don't care. I mean, you're going to say, what's more offensive?
I mean, comparing something to David Koresh is pretty low.
Where children died and stuff like that, and you're going to make so. Yeah, I have a line, but it's a whole lot further than saying, oh, A&M,
I would love for that podcast to have been in person.
I don't think it was. I think it was. Now, Bo Carter, Bo Carter used to be the Southwest Conference's media director.
Okay,
he was on it.
He was on it,
and he thought it was hilarious. Because I saw him at the Arkansas game that week. It was that week. But anyway, the point is, if you want to do a thumbs down or say, oh, they're going to make fun of their guys in white.
There's fan behavior, and then there's like trying to insult you on a radio show. There's different. Like, I'm not going to, if Vince Young and I were talking, right? And I've talked to Vince before. You have too.
He's a nice guy, actually.
Hey, Vince. What are you going to do now? That's different than at an event, at a game where the camera's on you. You go,
Yeah, players are doing something because, I just, I just don't get it. Why it's such a sacred
I don't think
thing.
the coach needs to engage at all.
And Mac Brown once chewed out Houston Nutt for doing it a horns down. Arkansas just won, and the coaches are coming, and Houston was doing that, and he said something like, because I heard Houston talking about this on the radio, and Houston was saying stuff like, well, he said, fans are one thing, but I expect more from a coach. Maybe there's something to that. Okay, maybe there is. But for the coach to get all upset like that, look, you blew a 16-point lead. Those guys from Central Florida came back from a 16-point deficit and won.
So
that's what you should be focused on.
In a 24-hour period, we've gone from Nate Oates pushing a player at Alabama, who is all high and mighty for the SEC, and Rodney Terry, like talking to each player in the line. That was classless. That was classless.
I think it's bewildering that you get upset about players doing a horns down. Big freaking deal.
Before we hit a break,
because if you win, are you going to be doing the horns up?
Yeah, it's disrespectful. It hurts my feelings to see you celebrate your love for your university.
So it goes. It's like Highway 6, man. That goes both ways.
Could you do an entire segment with your thumbs up? Like that entire segment. We might do that with Stephen McGee coming up next. Got a quick text I'm going to read.
It was Thursday.
Yeah,
Steve McGee.
It's a good day with Stephen McGee.
Pork chops and Steve McGee.
A text from C2Ag99. Best Fargo spot ever. They lied to that Coach McCarthy wasn't invited in. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with Steve McGee here on TexAgs Radio. Right now, we're talking Heritage Films. That is Chance McClain's company. They make documentary films about families. They make documentary films about family ranches, family businesses. If you have not considered it, you're missing out, right? So let's take Caitlin, for instance. Her whole family loves Aggie football. They watch games together. They, they can't wait for Texas versus A&M and getting the family together. How cool would it be to have Chance McClain at their house the night of the bonfire, the night before, as they're celebrating before they hit that, and they document all of that, and everybody in the family talks about their love for A&M and how they got to A&M and how this kid got there. That could be something that Chance McClain does. And then we fast forward to Caitlin. She's a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, right? Each year of those, she can do a year flicks with Chance. 20-minute video to catch up with benchmark video for her life. That's what Chance does. He does documentaries, and he does family stories that you can keep forever and ever. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. The phone number for Heritage Film, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. I'm going to keep this spot going because I see Olin trying to go to the restroom, but I'm not going to allow him to go. 713-893-8341. We are back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. That last segment, I didn't allow OB to go to the restroom, so that's why he's a little bit late.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you waited another second, I'd say you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Oh, I knew.
Okay.
I knew.
I think Miss Torn didn't quite get it, man.
It's a Go Hour presented by
C&C Creations.
Yes, C&C Creations as opposed to CC Creations. Maroon you. Let's go to the Brian Foley Law Hotline, where we find our QB1 from Paragon Financial, Stephen McGee. Stephen, good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
How are you, man?
Fantastic.
Hey, so we started the segment or the show talking about if you're the new athletic director, what like New Year's resolutions do you have for this program? Just, I guess, first off, react to Ross moving on to Ohio State and what you want to see here moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had great conversations with him and enjoyed him as a person. He's always been great to me, but it seemed like the writing was on the wall, so to speak. It was hard for me to imagine a scenario in which he was able to retain his job long-term at Texas A&M, given the head-scratching hiring process. That's, obviously the most important job on campus is hiring a head football coach. So I guess it wasn't a huge surprise. I'm happy for him and his family. And I think it opens the door for another opportunity for somebody to come in here. Great university. That's a great role to have. Knowing that the main AD is probably predominantly a fundraiser, right? Bringing in revenue for the program, and this is a great place to be able to do that.
Would you be interested in that job, Stephen?
No. Thank you for asking, Obi. Would you?
Was it pay? Yes.
Hey, I bet you they'll pay you a couple ribeyes a week.
Hey, here's the easiest question of the day. What do you think about Mike Elko's first 53 days in office, but just his first month and a half or so taking over here at A&M?
Look, I'm biased. Again, it's hard for me to look at this objectively, but I would say that it's been pretty phenomenal. My biggest concern was the mass exodus and then that depleted roster, so to speak. I think most people probably wouldn't have agreed with that statement, but then you saw the Oklahoma State bowl game, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're not going to win a football game next year, even if Connor's back. And going in the transfer portal and just getting work done, it's been nothing short of impressive. And look, whether you love it or you hate it, you guys know where I sit on that side of the street, but I it's a necessary evil, and he's done it as well as anybody in the country. And it's exciting to see. Getting the right guys now, getting them in here hungry, ready to go to work, and knowing that Mike Elko is going to run the program the right way, top down. Everyone knows what their job is. I'm pumped up right now. I really, really am.
Yeah, I'm allowing myself, without trying to, higher levels of optimism. I've told myself never be optimistic again until just celebrate it when it happens, but not until then. But I'm starting to look at, we had somebody yesterday say all the guys, all the transfers are all from Group of Five. I looked it up. More of them are from Power Five conference programs than Group of Five.
Right. He's got some names, man. He's got some guys that can get after the quarterback. The defensive backs look to be a lot deeper and better. Overall, man, he's attacked the port. Everything has been like the bizarro of Jimbo, the opposite, right? Like the high school football relationships, the way he's attacking the portal. Everything feels completely different.
Yeah, I think the days of pampering these guys are long gone. He's not going to tell them what they want to hear, and if you didn't like what you heard, then you're probably not the right kind of guy for Mike Elko, and I really appreciate that. There's a door and you can walk through it type mentality. We have incredible facilities. We got an incredible opportunity. They obviously have a really good NIL program, all of those things. But at the end of the day, there's nothing that is going to take away a football player at Texas A&M from doing the work that has to get done. You've got to go to work every day. You've got to get better because this program is not happy where it is, and we can't continue on the same path. And I think Mike Elko brings that chip on his shoulder and that accountability factor that probably didn't exist as much before.
Stephen, what does hope do for a team? Like, we know for a fan base, we kind of go every day is a little different. But like the existing players that were here with Jimbo the last couple of years, they're like, man, I feel like every year it's the same story. But now there's hope. What does it do for those guys who have been here for it all and now see the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you've got to hope in something that's tangible and that's real. And unless you're getting the work done, unless everybody's pulling in the same direction, it's hard to believe it's nothing more than a hope and a prayer. And I think at this point, they're starting to build the bones and the DNA of what it really takes to be a good football team, right? That the off-season grind, all the things that everyone, hates about the preparation of being a great football team. Right now, it's not fun being a Texas A&M football player. Trust me. It's a grind. The weights in the early mornings of sprints and just pure misery. So, welcome to the show, right? The next step in the process of being great, and I think that you got to have more than just hope. You got to have this bedrock faith that we're going to get it done. We believe in each other, and that's all that matters. We put in the work. We know what it takes. We've got the talent and ability to go out there and win at the highest level. You got great quarterbacks. You got great coaches. You're going to be in a position to win. I think now it's just a matter of getting done.
Yeah, a lot of times I think A&M had a championship roster, but I don't know if they had the right mentality. And Stephen, how much do you ever remember having guys that on your team that you would see and think, man, those guys are incredibly talented, but they're not as good a player as maybe some guy that wasn't even close to as talented?
Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of those guys, unfortunately. Y'all remember, Mike Hodges, not a very talented football player, but a good football player that made a huge difference for his football team because the way he approached the game and just kept. He was a no-name preferred walk-on and turned into a team captain. And now, of course, you guys know the rest of the story. But it happens. The best football player is not always the best guy for the football team. And that's hard for some fans to quantify because they see the stars next to the name. But, I think of guys like, Denver Harris. That guy's not – he's a really talented football player coming out of high school, but the cancer that he is in the locker room and the lack of accountability and not showing up to workouts and it's all about me, that doesn't mean that he's now the best guy for your football team. Just go sign him. And so I think there's this – you got to get the right guys.
Yeah. And how many guys did you ever play with that were really good but only when they wanted to be, if that makes sense?
Yeah, there's those guys too, right? I mean, they're just.
So I think that's what A&M had a lot of. I think they had guys that were really good when they wanted to be, and some were really talented but didn't do what it takes to maximize that talent.
What's the old saying, OB? It's you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink. And unfortunately, that's the reality for a lot of these kids nowadays. It's all there before them, right? They have everything they could possibly need as a college football player and some to be successful, to accomplish all their goals and dreams. But they just don't want it bad enough.
Talking to Stephen McGee here on TexAgs Radio. Alabama losing a lot of dudes, which is, I'm not saying it's comforting, but it's nice that it's not Texas A&M that's in the news for it. Caleb DeBoer, I think, is going to be a very fine coach, but obviously people went there because of Nick Saban oftentimes.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Right?
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, that's
welcome
terrible.
to our life, right? I mean, I don't feel sorry for him for a moment. Now, I agree with you. I think he's a really, really good football coach. I love what he did. I love their scheme offensively. They did some really, really good stuff throughout the playoff run. So I think he's going to have success there, but you got to get through these the early turbulence. And Mike Elko went through it, and he's solidifying his roster now. I think he'll be just fine at Alabama. But that's one of the reasons why it's not easy filling the shoes of a great coach like Nick Saban.
Hey, Stephen, did you ever do the horns down during athletic competition?
Good question. I don't remember doing it.
You didn't do a horns down when you scored that game-winning touchdown back in 2006?
I don't think so.
No.
You tell me.
I don't know, but I don't know if you saw the story. Their basketball coach was all upset because they lost last night, and the players from UCF did a horns down. I just wonder what makes a player do the horns down. Is it disrespectful?
It's so stupid. Is it really that disrespectful? I mean, do they own these fingers? I don't understand it. I really don't. It's been over dramatized, so to speak, and I just.
They could probably substitute another hand gesture for the.
I was going to say, you could always do the number one gesture, right? Is that more tolerable? I don't know.
Hey, Steven, when we come back, we're going to do a little buy, sell, lease Cowboys edition, all right? Cowboys Coaches edition. I know OB's going to enjoy this one. We'll do that when we come back. Right now, we're talking about the Association of Former Students. They're actually going to be in studio, not the entire association, but a couple of the big wigs out there. Scott and Randy will be here. If you love to travel, want to see the world with fellow Aggies, then the Traveling Aggies program takes Aggies and friends on a once-in-a-lifetime adventure around the world with all the details arranged by trusted travel partners. The Association of Former Students invites you to explore the possibilities of the Traveling Aggies at the Traveling Aggies Expo 2025 Showcase, an exclusive event unveiling the 2025 Traveling Aggies trips. So that expo is coming up on Friday, January 26th from 1:30 to 6 p.m. at the Clayton W. Williams Jr. Alumni Center. There you can learn about upcoming adventures. Each travel partner will host short sessions highlighting their unique destinations. You can also take advantage of their special trip savings at the expo. Plus, enjoy a free Messina Hoff wine tasting, door prizes, and a chance to win the grand prize of an Aggie baseball weekend getaway, which includes 2 tickets to a Texas A&M baseball game in the association suite. You've got a 2-night stay at the A&M Hotel Convention and Conference Center. You've got dinner for 2 at the Vintage House restaurant located in Messina Hoff and a Messina Hoff wine basket. To learn more and register, visit tx.ag/travel expo. Again, that is tx.ag/travel expo. It's the Association of Former Students. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We go back to the Brian Foley Law Hotline where we have Stephen McGee, our QB1. Stephen, buy, sell, lease time, all right? You ready? I think your mic is off. You back? Kind sir. I'm going to read it out loud. OB, I think you're going to like this one, all right? You ready?
All right.
Buy, sell, lease, Cowboys coaches. Dave Campo. You got to keep one of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Mike McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
Wade Phillips.
Good God.
Let's go.
Man, you got me.
I know what I'm going.
You got me digging through the trash. You can go first.
I'll go Mike McCarthy, buy. I'm going to lease Wade Phillips, selling Campo.
Yeah. It has to be.
Wow.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Dave Campbell never should have been a head coach anywhere.
Mrs. Doubtfire? Sorry, go ahead.
He just was not equipped. And it was cruel to put him in that position. You know, I mean, it's like putting someone who can't swim and making him a lifeguard.
Right.
Okay. And
how long was he the coach?
3 years. Wow. And I think they went 5-9 all 3 years.
That's not good.
Oh, he's terrible. I'm gonna. Yeah, see, you know what? I might buy Wade.
Okay.
Only because I think McCarthy has more talent to work with than Wade did.
Yeah.
Yep.
And defenses were always spectacular. Well, no,
Wade
the first couple of years they started falling off.
Brakes.
Yeah, the first 2 years at the Texans and the first 2 years with the Cowboys, I felt like the defenses were very high, and then it fell off.
Wade Phillips was a good defensive coach. I always felt like he did a great job of maximizing the talent he had on defense and doing it in a simple way in which it created the mismatch he was trying to get. Marcus Ware one-on-one.
I will never argue that Wade Phillips was not a outstanding defensive coach. The problem is he's also a doofus, and that personality cannot be the head coach. You ever seen when they'd make a play and it'd be all going crazy, look like one of those crazy balloons that they put in front of the car dealerships? You know, like, hey, come there, get our car. Except Wade was much wider.
Oh, man. What?
I loved his pregame speech, OB. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Every week. Touch a star.
You didn't play for Wade, right? You played for Garrett?
No, I played for Wade.
Oh, did you? See, yeah. He even played for Wade and was only leasing him.
Was that the only coach you had, or did you have several coaches there?
I thought you played for Garrett too.
I did both. Yeah, Phillips and Garrett. Yeah. And you know what? I really like both of them. I know they're not popular opinion, but
you're a nice guy. You like everybody, don't you?
Most people.
Who do you not like, Stephen? Give me a list of people you don't like in sports.
Oh boy. You don't want that list right now.
So you just start Olin Buchanan. See, yeah. You're too nice of a guy.
It's funny when you're around the guys behind the scenes, you get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? But I would say that oftentimes, especially in Dallas, the personality of the head coach is often misunderstood. And there's so much hype, pressure, scrutiny, and it can be difficult unless you win, and not many people win there, unfortunately. So, Wade Phillips, really good defensive mind. I really respect him. I agree with you. I don't think he was necessarily the right fit personality-wise for the head job, especially at a place like Dallas. Jason Garrett did a great job of embracing the role of being the head coach, but not as gifted as an actual game day play caller, in my opinion. Very smart guy, but calling plays on game day, very different skill set, right? And so, you get this little bit of a mesh. It's hard to have all the talents.
We got about 10 seconds to play with. And Gary Kubiak, you had a short stint with him. Was he the best of your coaches?
Man, he can call. They were good play callers. I really liked him. I respected him. He coached hard too. Yeah. I really like Gary Kubiak. I wasn't there long, but he was always good.
Thank you, Stephen. Have a great week, man.
All right, guys. See y'all
later, bud. OB, thank you very much, sir.
You bet.
When we come back, Logan Lee on a mobile, that and more next on TexAgs. Hour number 2 of the program, it is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. I should have said this earlier, but I'll let everybody know. Today on the program, let's see if I can actually pick up the right rundown. We've got Logan Lee here in a moment. We've got Around the Association coming up after that. We've got AT at 9:35. Then at 10 a.m., Jaylen Henderson and Billy Liucci will be here in studio. How about that? That'll be fun. Chit-chat with Jaylen here in studio. It'll be my first chance to talk to him. And then everybody's favorite segment, The Fan Show, presented by Gerard Construction. That's coming up at 10:35. All right, let's hit a shot. Can we do that? We go to the Brian Foley Law Hotline. That's where we find Logan Lee. He can shoot. He can help the Aggies out. Logan, good morning, buddy.
Nuño, what's happening?
Buddy, sorry to switch up the schedule on you. I know usually you come in at 10. We had to make some changes. But let's chit-chat a little bit about the I guess just the state of the team, man. You go from a real high that I was looking forward to talking to you about in the Kentucky game to a real low, especially for the first, 40 minutes or 30 minutes of that game this past week against Arkansas this past couple days ago. A team that has struggled all year long scoring the ball.
Man, it's a roller coaster ride, and there are highs and there are lows, and unfortunately, there have been a lot of lows in comparison to the highs right now, and I don't know what to make of it all. I really don't. The fact that this team could show up against Kentucky and play so well, especially after the LSU loss and the Auburn loss, and then they show up and they're ready to fight, and they look like the team that everybody thought they were going to be preseason. And then they follow it up going to Bud Walton Arena and losing an ugly game. It wasn't. It's not like they. That's where I get a little worried. It's not like they played horrible. If you look at the stats, I mean, A&M had 23 offensive rebounds, 25 second chance points in comparison to Arkansas's 3 offensive rebounds and 9 second chance points. A&M took 23 more shots, 74 shot attempts to Arkansas's 51 shot attempts. And it's not like the free throws were out of control. Arkansas took 40, A&M took 33. A&M only had 2 turnovers. How is that possible? And they lose. It baffles me. This one really baffled me because obviously they got out to that 34-14 deficit. Arkansas had complete control, and then they just had to scratch and claw their way back. But man, and with a chance to win, with a lead, with 7 seconds to go, that one hurt.
Logan, my thing is though, you're not going to win a lot of games when you miss that many shots, and that's been the case really all season long. It takes heroic performances. I'm a broken record. I talked about it last week, the week before. Like these games where A&M falls in these holes, Wade Taylor has to take them back. U of H, Arkansas, how many other times? Iowa State, and when you have so much influx in the lineup, it just makes it hard to get any consistency.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know where A&M is their best. They haven't found their groove when it comes to Wade Taylor and his production. He scored 41 points. But he took 32 shots. The next player was Boots, who took 15 shots, and he made 2 of 15. So obviously, if Boots comes out and he makes 1 basket, 2 baskets, 3 baskets, it's not a game, because that changes the entire flow of where A&M is and what they need. But no one else. I mean, if you look at it, Hayden Hefner took 6 shots. Eli Lawrence took 6 shots. Everybody else took 2 shots, 1 shot. Anderson Garcia, 5 of 5. I'm sure those were all offensive rebounds. But that's what it was. And so I don't know where the happy medium is in Wade Taylor's heroics. Obviously, he doesn't have to score 41 points for A&M to win, because he scored 41 and they lost. But is that happy medium where he's scoring 25 points on 15 shot attempts? Is it Boots having to step his game up, and maybe Boots is only taking 10 shots, but he makes 6 of them? I don't know where that lies, because we haven't seen a consistent A&M team this year.
We haven't seen consistency, but since the LSU game, they have gotten back to what we are used to seeing, at least from a team identity, right? Like the offensive rebounds, the defense, the attacking. That part of it is working. It's really just missing free throws and shots.
I don't know if the defense is there. I mean, well, Kentucky scored almost 100 points.
But that's what they do.
Arkansas. Huh?
That's what they do.
that is what they do. But A&M is what A&M does is not allow teams to get their average, and they have been allowing that. They haven't kept teams under their average and been able to win, and I think that is where it lies in the ability to turn this season around, is the focus on A&M's defense, the focus on stopping somebody. They didn't stop LSU. They allowed LSU to play their own game. They allowed Auburn to play their own game. They allowed Kentucky to play its own game. However, A&M was just better at scoring that night. I mean, you had Wade Taylor and Tyrese Radford go off for nearly 60 points, combined just those two alone. And so it has been A&M conforming to the opponent's style of basketball, where that hasn't been the staple of Buzz Williams at Texas A&M. It has been, hey, we're going to make it ugly. We're going to grind it out, and we're going to play our style of basketball versus their style of basketball. And that's not what this year has been.
All right, since we talked a little defense there, let's also mix in the fact that the rules have changed. The charges that A&M would take so much advantage of, it's not the same way anymore, and it's hurt A&M.
Without question. There's no question about it. I mean, A&M was, I'm going to throw a random number out here because I don't have any facts or stats to back it up, but I feel like A&M was getting anywhere from 4 to 7 charges a game last season. And a lot of those charges were at big momentum-shifting plays where, hey, we've got them on the ropes and we need a big defensive stop, and you get a charge and you go the other way. You take the basket off, you get a basket at the other end, and all of a sudden that's a 5-point swing in comparison to them going up by 2. This year, A&M isn't getting those calls. But they have to adjust. No one is getting those calls, so they have to adjust. And that's where I feel like the defense hasn't been as stellar. They have been shading to the baseline, not allowing midline dribbles. But at times when they shade to the baseline, the rotation on the backside is a step slow, or they are allowing a straight line drive, which isn't allowing the rotation to get there quick enough. If you allow the offense to dictate where they want to go and they go straight to the basket without having to make a detour, it's impossible to rotate. It's impossible for help defense to get over there. And too many times this year, A&M has allowed straight line drives and not pushed them to the short corner.
Is it to a point where you're starting to worry about the postseason, or so much SEC play left, plenty of time? I don't know if plenty is the right word, but you know what I mean.
I mean, it's getting close. It's getting close to being worried. I'm not too worried right now. One, because I do think that they have shown enough potential and enough high level basketball to be able to contend with everybody. And when you think about it, every single year, A&M has struggled at some point in time, and then Buzz has made the adjustments, has done a change in the roster, has done a change in the offense, has done a change in the defense, whatever it takes, and they get on a roll and they get hot. Now, that window is getting smaller and smaller as each game goes by. But I'm not overly worried about postseason. What I am worried about is A&M right now is trending down in the selection committee in where they stand in regards to, hey, are they going to be a 3, 4, 5 seed? So now it's a 8, 9, 10 seed. You lose a couple more in bad fashion like you did to Arkansas, and all of a sudden you're a double-digit seed or a bubble team. And that is the worry right now, is where are they going to end up in the seeding? They lose a couple more games, and all of a sudden you start talking about, okay, now I'm worried about postseason. But I'm not worried about postseason right now because I've got faith that Buzz will turn this around. He has proven that he does that every single year. So what's going to be the difference this year?
I'm going to simplify everything for us. We talked about bad shooting, but can it be, and there's a lot of pressure on a gentleman, but can it be as simple as getting Boots back to being Boots? And I'm not talking about the game we saw against Kentucky. That was phenomenal. I'm talking about just, a really good Boots out there, what it does for that offense, what it does for Wade.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it is that simple, because when you look at the Kentucky game, you had Solomon Washington back on the roster, and he played great. You had Wildens Leveque, who came in and played outstanding at the end of the game, grabbing offensive rebounds, getting blocked shots. Anderson Garcia played lights out. So I don't think this is a Boots Radford and Wade Taylor show anymore. They can handle the game. They are the majority. They are the superstars of this team. But they're not the guys that can just go out there and win you a game without anybody else's help. They need Solomon Washington. They need Anderson Garcia. They need Manny to step up. They need Jace Carter to show up. They need these other players, because they're not that lottery pick superstar NBA player that can just take over a game no matter who the opponent is. This is a team effort. It always has been, and it always will be with Buzz at the helm. Which that's not a knock on anything. I love the fact that this is a team game. There are very few college basketball programs that focus on team as much as Buzz, and I love that aspect.
Talking to Logan Lee here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Logan, let's talk a little bit about Solo. I love him. The way he plays, his energy. We talk about him often, but how integral of a piece he's become in what they do.
Yeah, and a lot of it isn't even on the stat sheet. His hustle, his intensity, his attitude, his tenacity. When he comes in the game, he is ready to line up with whoever is standing across from him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he whispers every time he stands in front of the opponent and says, "I'm better than you." Just sends him a message. Like that is his message. I'm better than you. I'm going to prove it on this play right here. Every single time. And that's what this team needs. That's what every team needs. But man, he's I also wish that his role would increase and he would refine his skill set instead of just being an intensity hustle player that has that attitude. He needs to continue to grow. What does he bring on offense? What can A&M count on every single time down the court on offense? Is he going to be able to do this, or can we give it to him in this position and he scores? What does that look like? They have an Anderson Garcia already he's going to get all the trash, he's going to get all the rebounds, and he's going to score when he grabs an offensive rebound. He's going to slap the ball out to half court. You don't necessarily need two of those at the same time. You've got your Anderson Garcia, so where's Solo? What role is he going to dominate for the rest of the season?
Interesting point you bring up there, because A&M has got a lot of those kind of players. You can mix and match that sometimes are not, offensive players. A guy that I'd like to see more offense from and more playing time, but he's got to earn it, is Manny, because I feel like Manny's got this untouched potential that we just still haven't seen unleashed yet.
Yeah, my only struggle with Manny right now is not his ability. It's where they're playing him. He comes in the game, oftentimes he's bringing the ball up the court. And that's not his natural position. He's not a point guard. He's not a lead guard. That's not his natural position. So you're putting him in a spot to where, if you watch, there aren't a ton of passes made on the offensive end when he brings the ball up the court. It is a straight ball screen, going to the rim, trying to get a shot up. That's a two guard. Let somebody else, even if it's Wade, even if Wade's on the court, if Boots is on the court, whatever it may be, let them bring the ball up the court. Let Manny come off a screen, catch it at the wing, and then attack. At least that gets some flow to your offense. You get more people involved. But right now, when he brings the ball up the court, there are very few passes being made, and I think that's the biggest issue that I have with the A&M offense when he's bringing the ball up the court. But you are 1,000% correct. his offensive ability is unlimited just because of his athleticism, his strength, his ability to get to the basket. I mean, you're right. That's what he does. He just needs to be put in a better position to do that and create for A&M.
Hey, I feel like Jace Carter's starting to kind of, I don't know, become more integral a little bit. I feel like I'm liking what I'm seeing. Are you liking what you're seeing overall from Jace, at least moving in that direction?
I am. I absolutely am. I think he could be a big piece to this puzzle. He needs to be a big piece to this puzzle because they need another scorer. They need another guy who is a little more consistent. I think he understands his role, but I don't think he is being productive enough to make an impact in the games right now, or at least from my expectations of what I saw in practice preseason versus where I thought he would be right now. But if he can continue to increase his role and be consistent, I mean, I know we've said consistent, or I've said consistent a ton of times, but that's what this team needs is a little consistency. And if they can count on him to score 8 points a game, I think that changes this team drastically.
Last thing for you, free throws been an issue this year. Weren't an issue before. How do they get that right?
I mean, if you remember,
I do.
I think it was 3 seasons ago.
21.
In 21, they were horrible to start out. And then towards the end, they were one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. I guess it wasn't last night, but against Arkansas, they were 23 of 33. Arkansas was 31 of 40. I don't know how you make free throws. I don't know how you make a team better at free throw shooting. If people knew, if I knew, I'd be a multimillionaire because I'd be able to coach every team in the country on just free throws, and they'd increase their win percentage by X amount. I think it's all a mental state. For me, it was mental when I went up to the free throw line. I know for Dominique Kirk, for Joe Jones, it was an attitude of just another shot. It is what it is. It's just another shot, and they were all good free throw shooters, and we make free throws. I think this team just has to go step up to the line and be ready to make them. They're contagious. Wade missed uncannily, I think, 3 free throws in the first 6 minutes of the second half, and that kind of set the tone. When you see your best free throw shooter miss a free throw, it gets contagious. Not blaming anything on Wade because he's been doing his best to keep A&M in all these games, but those are contagious, and they just got to get on track. You make the first couple, you see it go through the net, and all of a sudden you have a little more confidence.
Logan, I lied to you. I'm looking at LSU. Outside of an Auburn loss, they've played really good basketball. The A&M victory, they beat Vandy. They lose to Auburn by 15, but then they beat Ole Miss, top 25 team there at home, 89-80. So this thinking we're going to even the series and get one back looks a little bit more difficult than what we thought when SEC play started.
It's definitely more difficult, but I think A&M went. Before the Arkansas game, I thought A&M would beat Arkansas and then would go on to LSU and get a double-digit win. One, because they've got a chip on their shoulder. 2, they lost at home and they want some revenge and they want to get back at it. 3 is because it was going to continue that momentum. If they would have had a win against Kentucky, a win against Arkansas, and then going into LSU, that would have been a ton of momentum. Now, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a double-digit game, but I do think A&M is going to win. I think A&M will get that game. They will not allow LSU to play their style of basketball 2 games in a row. That is, I'm not a betting guy, but I would be willing to bet that Buzz does not allow his team to play LSU-style basketball like they did here at Reed Arena. And so if you change that up and you stop LSU from just playing freely and flowing through the game with their athletic rhythm and an up-and-down pace, you change that and you make them think, they'll lose the game.
Logan, appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, Nuño.
Later, bud. Logan Lee there on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. When we come back around the association, followed by Aaron Torres of Aaron Torres Online. Right now, we're talking Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. You need a good deal, you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You need good customer service. I mean, you probably don't crave it, but you need it, guys. Let's be honest. Like, you don't want to get sold the wrong vehicle at the wrong price point, get the bad trade-in value, and just not even like your sales associate. Now, you want it all, right? Like, if you're spending that kind of investment that you're going to spend on a vehicle, you want to make sure you go somewhere that you can trust the company, you can trust the associate, and you can get good customer service for the entire duration of you driving that vehicle. And that's why I say Caldwell Country Chevrolet is the place to go. We bought our Chevy Tahoe from there and have loved every moment of it. Caldwell Country Chevrolet is the place to go when you're looking for a vehicle. They're a proud supporter of Aggie Athletics. They've been doing that for a long, long time, and they love this great community. It's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes, the edge of Bryant to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. All right, so this song in the background, it's the Miami song, right? And since we're going to talk traveling Aggies, I mean, sounds great to me. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for Around the Association with my friends. We've got Randy Reyes, class of 01, Director of Marketing, and, of course, Scott Walker, class of 90, Vice President. Hello, sir.
Howdy, Dave.
How are you?
Howdy, how are you? Good to be back.
What's going on? How was I talked to you a couple times during the holidays. How were your holidays?
It was great.
Yeah?
Yeah, I didn't have to travel or anything, so
And we got a little bonus extra winter break for Monday, Tuesday because of the weather.
You are a professional. You just mentioned travel, and there's a big expo coming up. Talk a little bit about the Traveling Aggie, Scott.
Yeah. Traveling Aggies, great program. One of the largest alumni travel programs in the world. We do dozens, 60, 70 trips a year, and we go everywhere in the world, and it's all turnkey. You pay one time and you're done. The only thing you're responsible for is packing your bags.
Wow.
And the coolest part is you get to travel with fellow Aggies, and that's what everybody always says when they come back from their first one is it was amazing to go to Antarctica or Chile or Japan or whatever, right. But the coolest thing was I met all these cool Aggies, and you don't know them before you get on the train or the ship or the plane, but by the time you get back, you're fast friends for life.
That's so cool.
It is.
I've hinted at Randy's like, I think we just got to do the show on one of these trips, like just every day, just document it, right? Like to me, that makes the most sense, Randy.
For sure. Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, we had some examples, and some of them are sports based, right?
Okay,
so
yeah.
Going to the Masters, going to the Kentucky Derby. I mean, there's some really fun trips, and we've had the privilege of being able to host some trips for Traveling Aggies, and like you said, and you always have a great line about. Not knowing someone, but being Aggies, and I'm gonna botch it, but I know I have a great line. But being able to travel with other Aggies is an incredible experience.
Well, you can kind of experience it beforehand and see what options are out there at the expo coming
Yeah,
up.
that's right. So we have a new event that we are putting on this January 26th. It's the Traveling Aggies Expo. And so traditionally we have a reunion at the end of the year in the fall with all of our travelers, but this year there's always an excitement about when the new trips are rolling out. And when I say new trips, I mean 2025. 2024, there's a lot of them booked. Don't quote me that there's still some availability, but for right now, what we're trying to do is roll out the new trips for 25. And so there is an expo. It's scheduled for Friday, January 26th from 1:30 to 6 p.m. And what it's going to look like is kind of like your trade show. We're going to have all the travel vendors come in. They're going to have tables set up at the Alumni Center. You're going to have a chance to go and talk to them about their trips. And then separately, we're going to have some breakout sessions. The travel vendors will be able to host travelers who are interested, who want to ask questions, learn more about all the trips. So it's going to be a great time. And then obviously we like to have fun. So the travel vendors are going to have door prizes available. And we put together a fun little grand prize for those who do attend some of these sessions. We're calling it the Aggie Baseball Weekend Getaway, or staycation if you're here local, right? So the idea is if you come to one session, you're entered to win the grand prize. So what that looks like is dinner for two at the Vintage House at Messina Hoff. It's 2 tickets to an A&M game in the association, A&M baseball game in the association suite. 2-night stay at the Texas A&M Hotel and Conference Center, and then a Messina Hoff wine basket. So that's the fun, but more importantly, if there are folks interested in traveling with the Traveling Aggies, this is a great, really, really great opportunity to learn more about all the trips.
I'm going to read some of these example trips because they all sound cool. Journey to Antarctica, the wolves and wildlife of Yellowstone, the best of Tanzania, Egypt and the Nile Valley. Man, there's like left and right, the Masters, the Kentucky Derby. There's a lot of cool, different kind of events.
And you're doing it with Aggies. The line he was trying to quote is, 2 Aggies are never strangers. They're just old friends who haven't met yet. So come travel with some old friends.
Yeah, that is awesome. There's other stuff going on, too, because you guys are honoring the 12 under 12. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the 12 under 12 is a program that we've put on for a number of years. The idea is that we want to highlight and showcase Aggies who are making a difference in the world, who are basically young alumni for the last 12 years. And so we have the 12 under 12 Young Alumni Spotlight, and we're recognizing these Aggies for business accomplishments, civic, military service, philanthropic efforts, and basically just outstanding representation of Texas A&M. And so right now, nominations are open. And so we are asking anybody who's out there, if you feel like you are want to be recognized as someone, or you know someone, be sure to submit a nomination. We have the nomination process is open. And what that looks like is anybody who graduated from 2012 to 2024 right now. But tx.ag/12 under 12 nominations. It's a great program. We honor them in the fall. They come to Aggieland. We have a little, award ceremony for them. But more importantly, these are Aggies who are really making a difference in the world, and we want to make sure that we're highlighting them and showcasing them with this award.
The last thing I want to talk about is something that I enjoy talking to you all about, because I experienced it not through the association, but just I, for a long time, wanted to move back to this community. Like, that's what I wanted to do, and I didn't know when it was going to happen. I get approached by people all the time. This got to be great to be back at the motherland. So there's opportunities to move here potentially if you work at the association.
Absolutely, opportunities to work on campus, to work in an area of service to your fellow Aggies. That's what we do. Is we help Aggies help other Aggies, and we're hiring professionals. We're hiring students. We've got some part-time positions, entry level, director level positions. TX or AggieNetwork.com/ association jobs. Yeah. And yeah, it's a great place to work. You get to be around the students. You get to be, in the heart of all the action. It's a fun place to work. We have a great culture. And at the end of the day, you feel like, man, I made a difference today.
You were one of those, right? You were in Katy beforehand?
Yeah, well, was a number of places. Left A&M after graduated in 01, actually 03. For about 10 years, was out in the field. And then this position came open, came back. And I can tell you, wholeheartedly, this is the best job that I've ever had. The opportunities to really see the difference that the association makes firsthand, talking to Aggie students, former students who have been impacted, whose lives have been changed, is an amazing opportunity. And I'm in marketing. There's lots of positions, but I can tell you that any of the positions open and all the positions that we have, you get to see firsthand the difference that the association makes on the Aggie network.
Also, not only just working there, just raising your family in this community. Like,
it's awesome.
To have Kyle Field down the road, like that's the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate you both.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. When we come back next on TexAgs Radio, we'll talk to Aaron Torres from Aaron Torres Online and Fox Sports Radio. That and more. It's TexAgs Radio. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. A lot to get into with Aaron Torres from Aaron Torres Online. So we go to the Brian Foley Law Hotline. We're talking to my buddy AT. AT, what up?
Not much. I just heard the intro clip. Look at you rubbing elbows with Jay Billis. Oh, my goodness. Look at you, big time.
Oh, it's my friend. I call him Cousin Jay. That's what I say.
That's your guy.
Yeah.
Uncle Jay?
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's probably older than me.
Times.
You're probably right.
He is. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's probably significantly older than you. I mean,
yeah, you're probably
graduated from Duke in like '86. I mean, I know you have a young charm to you, but I don't think you're anywhere close to how old he is. But no, great guy. I've talked to him a few times. I wouldn't say I know him well or anything, but yeah, I know he was on the call on Saturday, and I don't know if you got him before or after, but it sounded like an interesting segment. I'll have to go back and listen.
It was good. It was good. By the way, this is around college athletics, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. Are you standing on a highway?
Yeah, I'm outside with the dog. I'm sorry. I'll try to get away from the road. I'm sorry if it's really loud.
Oh, it's all good. All good. Hey, let's start off with Aggie
really
hoops.
Bad?
What's that?
Is it really bad? Does it sound really bad?
Yeah, I just only heard it whenever I was talking. I didn't hear it when you were talking, so don't worry about it. Aggie hoops.
I'll talk a lot. I'm good at that. Yeah.
Weird place to be an Aggie basketball fan because you get the Kentucky game, you're like, hey, everything's fixed. Then you get the Arkansas game, it's not fixed. Oh, wait, it is fixed. Oh, no, it's not fixed. So I'll let you take it from there, AT.
I mean, that's pretty spot-on analysis. I'm not going to lie. Listen, with the Kentucky game, I don't want to do, the thing that a Kentucky fan would do, that it's like, we're Kentucky, we get it, we're everybody's Super Bowl, we get everybody's best effort, blah, 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 blah. But I do think there is something to, hey, you're at home. It's probably one of your 2 or 3 biggest home games of the year. And, and by the way, they're actually good this year, too. So it's an important stage for you to pick up a big win. And, I think, one, obviously the struggles continuing in Fayetteville, but I also think that's a metaphor for league play is, the highs of beating a top 10 team at home, but you got to go on the road and play a team that, whether it's Arkansas or anybody else, the SEC, there really aren't that many easy nights in this league. I mean, if you want to say Vanderbilt's pretty bad, if you want to say, frankly, Arkansas was not playing well before Tuesday night, that's fine. But I think it's a metaphor not just for Texas A&M, but for a lot of teams is you got to bring it every freaking night, man, because they're really – I just think this league across the board has improved. And I think, frankly, it's as good as I ever remember it 1 through 14. Now, maybe 1 through 3, 1 through 4, 1 through 5, is it the best that it's ever been? That I don't know. But I think 1 through, 13, 1 to 14 it is. And so, again, the effort wasn't there, especially early against Arkansas. But more importantly, I just think it's a metaphor for if you don't bring it every single night in this league, people are going to make you look bad, even if their record maybe indicates that they're not a very good team.
Talking to Aaron Torres here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, let's speak of that point. A&M gets LSU this weekend, and I'm like, initially I thought LSU was going to be an easy game this year, right? That's what I thought. And obviously A&M lost. And now since then, LSU has continued to play very high basketball. So to your point, there are no easy nights in the SEC right now.
No, and, I said this on Twitter the other day, and, I didn't think much of it, but you know how social media is. You get all the smart people that think that they know so much more than everybody. I think LSU, ironically, I think is a very good metaphor for what's going on in college hoops right now. And I think those top 2 or 3 leagues, the ones that have the money, everybody's got players now. Like I was watching last week, and you'll appreciate this being a Houston guy. I was watching, TCU Houston on Saturday night. Houston's ranked number 2 in the country. TCU, this, David, because you've been in the area covering these things forever. TCU was just 2 automatic wins on the schedule forever. And now it's like, okay, they got a real coach, they got NIL, and it's like, okay, they just beat the number 2 team in the country. I think this will be the 3rd straight year they make the NCAA tournament. So the point that I'm trying to make is that I think LSU is a really good metaphor for that. Last year, they won 2 SEC games total. And it's like, well, LSU is not going to ever not invest in what needs to be invested in to compete at the highest level in any sport. They went out, they got some dudes. They struggled early because their best player was a 2-time transfer that wasn't eligible. Then he got eligible. Now they're really freaking good. They just beat Ole Miss last night. And so I just think that that's such a metaphor for college hoops right now in 2024, where I watch the SEC on any given night. I watch the Big 12 on any given night. I watch the Big East, my alma mater, UConn plays in. They're just really, I think, more than ever. And college hoops people will tell you, oh, it's been like this for 15 years. But I think more than ever, we're at a point now where, like, the difference between, like, team 5 in college basketball and team, like, 40 in college basketball, the gap has never been smaller. Everybody's got players. It's tougher to win on the road. Teams on the other side aren't as stacked because guys don't stay for 2-3 years and ride the bench and build depth. And I just think this is the new reality of college hoops. And so I know I'm going long, but I just think that's the reality of college hoops in 2024. And I think it's going to be the reality in the big leagues going forward.
Aaron, I'm just realizing I'm an hour and 42 minutes into this show. I have not talked about the ACC and this lawsuit they're bringing in at Florida State. What kind of weird world do we live in, man? Like, this Florida State's won it out. The ACC is attacking back. Like, I don't even know what to make of it.
Yeah, I really haven't followed that story that closely just this week. I mean, I obviously am familiar with what Florida State's trying to do. Listen, on the one hand, I sort of get it. They sort of see where college football is going. And I think it's going to be there next year, right? Most of the power is going to be consolidated in those two leagues. But at the same time, what I have said consistently, people keep saying, well, they'll figure out a way out of the grants and rights. They got a great lawyers working on their behalf. And it's like, yeah, you know who wrote that grant of rights? Great freaking lawyers, so people couldn't get out of it. And so, listen, I know that there's talk of, hey, maybe we raise hedge fund money. Hey, maybe we take Saudi oil money, like whatever it takes to get out of the ACC. I think it's a weird circumstance, and I certainly think it was escalated because they rightfully got left out of the playoff for Alabama, where I do think they'll learn once you get to a 12-team playoff, it's like the whole setup of college football is actually very advantageous for you going forward. But right now, they're kind of down on themselves. They're not in the SEC. They're not in the Big 12. Everything's going towards those two leagues. They just missed the college football playoff, et cetera. And I think they're frustrated, but I also, unless they are willing to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to get out of that conference with, oh, by the way, without a guarantee to land anywhere else, I don't know what they actually do.
Aaron, let's talk a little NFL this weekend. What undervalued
what is,
team?
The buzz? What? No, I'm not talking Texans right now. What is the buzz with Mike McCarthy? Be honest, because you guys are, I know, more Houston than Dallas, but what are we doing, Jerry Jones? Lay it on me. I know your audience must have thoughts on this.
Couple things. First off, I'd say we're 50-50 Dallas-Houston. Our fan base is all over, San Antonio included. I am a Texans. Where are you, bro?
I'm just walking the dog. There's a train track right here. It's okay. I'm not going to jump. It's okay.
It sounds like an ambulance is coming after you. Anyway,
I'm so sorry, dude. I'll be better next week.
I do it with love, AT. You know that. Hey, so as for McCarthy, OB is our Dallas Cowboys enthusiast, and he's been done with McCarthy for a couple years. So if that tells you anything, and how he just has no expectations for next year. So yeah, there's a problem there, and I'm surprised that Jerry gets rid of legendary coaches quickly, but these coaches that have been mediocre, at least when it comes to the postseason with Mike McCarthy, he keeps them longer.
All right, how much time do I have to do like a couple point Dallas Cowboys rant? Do I have a minute or two?
I'll give you a minute 21.
Okay, I'll try to be quick here. One, first of all, this idea that Jerry is some like renegade, whatever. So I was doing a lot of radio when Jason Garrett was supposed to be fired. And if you remember, that firing was the most elongated breakup in the history of the world. It was like, for like 2 weeks, it was like, it wasn't 2 weeks. It was probably about 10 days. It was like, okay, we know we have to fire this guy, and we're not going to do it. And then it was like, we're going to do it, and then we're not going to do it. And then it's like, well, can we put him in the front office, and it was just the weirdest thing ever. And I just think this narrative that Jerry is some, Texas oil guy that takes big swings, like, yeah, that's who he was in 1996. That's not who he's been over the last 15 years. And so it's unfortunate. I have a lot of takes beyond that on why it should have been done, but I'll just stick with that one take that, I think there's this perception of Jerry Jones that isn't really reality at this point.
Good stuff, man. Texas is going to beat the Ravens or nah?
Probably not. I have another Lamar Jackson take too, but we'll save that one for next week. But no, I think it'll be tough. You're a dome team, rookie quarterback on the road, and obviously they have a great defense. I mean, everyone freaks out about Lamar, and I get it. He's a phenomenal player. He should be MVP. But if you watch that San Francisco game a few weeks ago, it was the defense that was dominant. So, yeah, I'm not feeling great about your Texans, but I've been wrong on it. I've been wrong a time or two before.
Last thing for you, Buffalo finally going to get the Chiefs?
Probably not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm so over the Chiefs. I don't think they're very good. I worked Christmas Day when they got embarrassed by the Raiders, but I don't know, man. Yeah, probably. Listen, I think Buffalo is terrifying, and they're playing well. SEC ties with Joe Brady calling plays there. Yeah, I'll take Buffalo to win. I don't think KC's very good this year. So
yeah, I don't either. But then last week they learned how to turn it on. So AT, appreciate you, buddy.
Well, I don't think. No, I think Miami just didn't. I just don't think Miami wanted to play in frozen tundra conditions, to be honest. So,
Aaron, you know my pain here, buddy. As I hit a break here, the delay sometimes when you do a phone interview in studio, like it's you're starting your point, I'm ending. It's just weird sometimes.
Well, and I'm also by the train tracks, and now you're worried I'm going to jump and all that stuff. So I get it. But I'm sorry about the background noise. I'll try to make it better for next week. But thank you for having me, man. I always appreciate it. You know that.
Aaron, it's going to be okay no matter what, buddy. There's always tomorrow. I hope.
I'm just really fired. The Chiefs can't win, David. It can't happen, please. Anyway, all right.
Later, bud.
That's all I got.
See ya. Aaron Torres there on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with Around the SEC. That's right. We'll talk about that with Miss Torn. Right now, Brazos Running Company, they're located at Century Square. That's the place to go to get your fitness shoes, right? Like whatever your fitness athletic wear you're needing, you need to go to our good friends there at Brazos Running Company. They're Aggie owned and operated. They got all the best brands out there that you can imagine. On, Hoka, Brooks, they got it all. They also have got Vuori, Birkenstock, you name it, they have it out there. And they're very passionate about putting you in the right shoe. So they'll put you on a series of not tests, because I think that scares people off, but they're going to put you in some movement situations, right? And they're going to find out how you step, how you go about it, your gait, all the good stuff. They're going to find the right shoe for you. Check them out and check it out. It is Brazos Running Company. They're located there in Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill there in College Station. Make sure you check out the Brazos Running Company. Nick?
Yeah.
Have you beat the hell out of the morning?
No. How would I do that, David?
By drinking some TexAgs coffee.
Oh, man, that sounds delicious. Tell me more.
You're not a coffee drinker, are you?
No, but if I would, or if I did, I'd drink TexAgs coffee, obviously.
God, that sounded so fake. You got to say it with a little more passion.
No.
All right. Beat the hell out of the morning is coffee talk. I should have done it at 8 a.m. I'm doing it now by going to texags.com/coffee. I actually did get a little bit of coffee. Hold on. Take a little sip. Ay, qué rico.
Are you taking Josh Pate's bit?
Does he do that?
Yeah, he takes his drink from the chalice or whatever he calls it. I know you're not doing that. I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's go to the News and Social Center there where we have Caitlin Torren out there. Caitlin, let's do around the SEC, shall we? Your mic's not on. Oh, see what happened.
Sorry, first day. Thank you.
It happens to people after being here for 4 years.
Yeah, so. It wouldn't be your first day if you didn't do that. So now you've been officially welcomed to the crew.
Right.
Indoctrinated. All right, let's get into it.
Y'all were talking earlier about Alabama losing a lot of guys. They've had 25 players leave the portal since Saban announced his retirement.
Wow.
Namely, Caleb Downs has now entered the transfer portal. He's the number one player in the portal, freshman All-American, with 107 tackles, the first freshman to lead Alabama in tackles since 1970. David, what do you think this does to the Alabama football program? Do you think they'll still be strong coming out next year, or do you think that changes them up a little bit?
I'm going to withhold my decision until after, because let's use A&M as an example. When everybody started going in the portal after Jimbo left, like there was some fear, right? Like there was absolute fear. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So it doesn't look good when you're Alabama and you lose all these guys and your new head coach is scrambling like Mike Elko had to. And now it's a little bit, people have made decisions, right? So how does Alabama respond to that? Well, to me, TBD. We'll find out in the spring window opening. Look, there's going to be some people that are going to transfer over and join Caleb DeBoer. There's no doubt about that. Are they going to be as strong? No, you can't be as strong when you have Nick Saban leave. And the next guy, as good as he is, he might be Steve Young after Joe Montana. He might be really good. It ain't going to be Joe Montana, though. Let's try to get another one, Caitlin.
Yeah, again, we also saw Lane Kiffin's tweet saying that Nix wasn't leaving the SIP. Now he's just been hired by Auburn as their offensive coordinator and running back coach. What do you think that looks like for them at Auburn?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, too, because if I remember correctly, Nick, you may have seen the post from Lane Kiffin. I think it was Monday.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, on Monday or Tuesday, he's like, he ain't going anywhere. He had a picture of him in the background.
And he went somewhere.
He went somewhere. Oh, I'm so sorry, Lane. I'm sorry. Whatever. I don't like that guy. Am I a little bit too blunt about that? When we come back, a guy that I do like, Jaylen Henderson in studio. We'll chit-chat with the Aggie quarterback. Billy Liucci will be here for that. We'll get to your text messages. And then afterwards, the world's most famous segment, The Fan Show, presented by Drawer Construction. That and more. It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Welcome to Tap Dance. David Nuño here, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Jaylen Henderson has arrived. We'll get to him here probably in the next segment or maybe midway through this one. We'll figure that part out. Billy's going to join us as well. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. We got a bunch of text messages to get into. We'll do that there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. And I know a bunch of people commenting on the whole Rodney Terry thing. Nick, did you have an opinion on the whole horns down thing?
Nothing original. Just, this conference will have a lot of fun with them. Every road venue that they go to, they are going to be dunked upon, I guess I should say it that way.
Here's, I don't know if it's an original take or not, but here's a thought. If you do horns down in my personal space, like if I were a Longhorn, I should say, and I'm not, thank God, then we got problems, right? Like you do like right here. But if you're doing it from the crowd or, to the TV, like I got no problem with that.
Look, I'll say, sorry, if you want to fit. Look, I'll say this. If we were Longhorn fans, that would annoy us too. Like I get that part, but the fact that they go out of their way to, make it a penalty or something like that, try to punish players for doing it, like that's when it goes overboard. But like I understand their anger when it comes to thank you, Luke, for doing something like that. But
look, I understand being annoyed because I get annoyed when people talk about our yell leaders. I get it.
Yep.
But like I'm not after a game going to single out every player. And this is not a Rodney Terry thing per se. I think it becomes your culture. I was going to maybe have a Nuñoism, but I don't got anything clever to say. Not that they're ever clever.
Do you even know what a Nuñoism is?
I think it's when I say something that kind of...
You don't understand what one is. You said one over the break, actually. I didn't point it out.
What was it? Tell me.
I don't remember. It was like, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
It's like when I say something and then I kind of redirect what I'm saying, but really this is the perspective I want you to look at, right?
I mean, it's just when you like contradict yourself completely.
It's like right now, this segment.
Sure, yeah. Flounder Central.
What were we talking about?
Rodney Terry.
I had a good point and you ruined it.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, if it comes back to me, I'll get to it.
Okay.
But whatever. If you want to be part of the conversation, call us up, 979-693-1150, or you can text us at that number as well. We return to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Ms. Torn, what do we... I know you got a couple text messages. Let's do that before we move on to our interview with Jaylen Henderson.
Yeah, we've got Ty Holden in the TexAgs live chat talking about if we don't have Coleman back, that we can't beat LSU on the road. Do we think that we have enough talent between Andy off the bench with Solomon Washington and Levesque? I think that obviously Coleman's probably our best guy under the basket, but it's looking like we've got plenty of talent to come through. They just have to be playing on their game.
Nick, I think we've got our new basketball analyst.
That was pretty solid.
Pretty darn good. Pretty like new names, situations, like analyze. That was really good. This is what I'll say about that. Can A&M beat LSU without Henry Coleman? Yes, of course they can. What it's going to take, though, is multiple dudes having an efficient offensive scoring night, right? So if Wade goes off for 22, that's not going off, by the way, but he goes for 22 and you get boots, you need a little bit more balanced scoring approach. When A&M has balanced scoring and when they have people attacking the rim, they can beat LSU absolutely. The problem has been, though, a lack of balanced scoring and then heroic efforts to get them back into games. And, I love the resolve that they showed on, what was that, Tuesday night, Monday night? Whatever night it was, Tuesday night, right? I love the resolve that they showed. They're down, and I've said this multiple times because in basketball games, leads don't last. 20-point leads don't always last. You come back. But as poorly as they played, I figured they'd get back into the game. The problem is the adrenaline rush that I got when they took the lead with 7 seconds left to only be let down a few seconds later was not worth, my heart rate going up and then going to bed upset. That part of it I didn't love. If they get balanced scoring and not heroic scoring, they can beat anybody. That's what Jay Billis said. They can beat anybody in the country. Absolutely. The problem with that is they can lose to anybody not anybody in the country, but they can lose to anybody in the SEC if they're not getting balanced scoring. And I don't need a bunch of dudes scoring 10. I do need a guy to give me 20-plus points a game and then a guy to give me 16 to 20. Right? And I don't think I'm asking for that much because we've seen Boots and Wade do it before. And if it's not Boots one night, it is Henry. If it's not Henry, maybe it's not going to be Anderson per se because Anderson's not a scorer, but somebody else. Jace Carter. Can Jace Carter give me 14 one night? Like, that's how you beat teams like LSU. That's how you and on the road, and they're playing really good, and they're not the team that started the season. They're not the team that played the University of Texas there in Houston when A&M played there. They're not. It's a different situation when A&M played U of H. So, to me, it's all about getting balanced scoring throughout and attacking the rim. And look, you can point out a number of different reasons why A&M lost that game, and you can point at any game, right? But the last game, right, against Arkansas, they didn't hit free throws. I didn't like the defensive setup there on the last play of the game. You got to hit shot. There's a lot of things to point at. But if people play to their level and their expectation, right now your expectation of shooting is not high. But if you get back to maybe not the best free throw shooting team in the SEC, but a really good free throw shooting team in the SEC, and you get some stability in your lineup, you lose Julius, you lose Boots for a little bit, you lose Henry the other night. Like, you need your core players to consistently play. And if that happens, then I do believe good things will happen for A&M on the road at Baton Rouge and beyond. What else, Ms. Torn?
Yeah, I totally agree. My biggest thing that I always think about basketball is it's a game of runs. So once we get that run going, we can get up by a little bit. I think it's just a huge momentum game. We have a lot of talk in the YouTube chat about bringing back old school yell leaders. And I got a text from my dad actually earlier in the show because he was actually head yell leader and he was laughing at what OB was saying, making fun of them, come from a line of 3 yell leaders. What do you think about bringing back the old school, or what's your take on it?
Look, I love our traditions, and I don't want to change anything. Bring back old school yell leaders, bring it all. I don't, to me, that is what makes this place so special. I embrace who we are. I embrace, like Austin used to have that slogan, is it called embrace being weird or whatever it was?
Keep Austin weird.
Keep Austin weird.
Keep A&M, I don't want to use the word cult, but keep it a cult, whatever. We're us. We're fine. We got to figure out the 8-4, the 7-5 football team. We got to figure that out. We've got to have success on the basketball court. I expect Schloss and company to take care of business, and Trisha and everybody, right? But what we do, let's do it. Social media is such a cesspool of hate that it's either everybody loves this or everybody hates it. And if you're not a part of the love, you're a loser, right? I don't care. Twitter's not a place. I mean, it's a place online. I'm not trying to do that thing, Nick. But who cares? What's that? Oh, look at that. I don't have to flounder anymore. No more tap dancing. That being said, I don't care what other fans, that's not, do I care that Texas Tech throws tortilla? I don't care. That's your thing. Cool. It makes you. Fine. Whatever. I won't eat it. Throw it. It's whatever. We do us, and you do you, and don't worry about us. I ain't going to worry about you until we meet on game day. Until then, who cares? All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back, Jaylen Henderson will be in studio. We will have Billy Liucci in studio. So we're going to hit a break early on that one. But before that, caller number 1, we're going to give you our free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. They're Aggie owned and operated with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership, but we'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggieland Express in South College Station. 979-693-1150. Welcome back into the program, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy Liucci's in studio. So is Jaylen Henderson. What's up, man?
Yes, sir. What's up? How you doing, man?
I'm all right. Good to see you.
Yes, sir, you too.
Happy to have you on the show. Can you just start us off? How's your recovery going?
It's going good. I'm ahead of schedule right now, about 3 weeks post-surgery, so everything's going good, and just thank God and ready for the rehab and everything, man.
That's great.
What take us through, I guess, when you took that hit and you went down, I've broken that bone, so obviously you knew immediately that that something was wrong there.
Yeah.
Take us through that moment and then the first couple days after.
Yeah, so
it's uncomfortable as hell.
Yeah, I've never broken or got hurt like that at all, so I didn't know if it was dislocated or broken. And I was like, "Is it out?" And he was like, "Yeah, something is dislocated, but it was my bone that was out, so he had to pop it back in to stabilize it." And it was very uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep like the first 3 or 4 days. But then after that, everything, it's like gotten better every day. My range of motion's coming back. I can bend it. I could throw right now. So
you can throw already.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So it's been a
getting
smooth
the strength
transition.
back in the range of motion.
Yeah, just getting the strength, and obviously it's weak. I just had the surgery, but it's getting better every day.
How once it kind of set in that, hey, I've got the last game, but season-ending injury, I'm going to need surgery. At any point, did you look at it and go, okay, this is not optimal. This stinks. I wanted to play in that bowl game. I love going out there with the guys. I don't want to sit out for any period. But at least it wasn't something that's going to drag into next year. Because when you went down, where I was standing on the field, Johnny and I were standing there watching. He said, "Oh man, that's going to be his knee. He's going to be done all of next year."
Yeah.
And we both thought that because we couldn't see. We saw the hip, but we couldn't see what happened. But at some point, did you go, you know what? This is as much as it hurts, this is a shorter term thing. I'll be back, as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm just blessed it wasn't my neck or my back or my knee, because a lot of people thought it was that. Obviously, I was upset, pissed off. I prepared 3 weeks or however it was for the bowl game, and then the very first play of the game, you get hurt. So I was definitely upset. Just had to come back, try to root my guys on. And then at least it's nothing crazy where I have to miss a whole year. It's a 6 to 8 week recovery. Just got to attack it strong and be back for spring ball.
So your thoughts are be back for spring ball?
Oh, yeah.
That's
I'll be back for sure
nice.
for spring ball.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm sure you're familiar with the quarterback situation at A&M throughout the last few years. Like, people get hurt left and right, right? Like, it's so.
Sure, Nuño.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's. How hard was it for you walking off the field at that moment? Did you know, like, this is it, or did you think maybe we'll be able to?
I didn't know what it was. And then, like, I did. On the field, they told me it was broken.
So they knew right away, yeah.
Yeah, they knew right away it was broken. And I asked them, I was like, I know there's a special shot or something back there for me to come back in the game. And they was like, nah, it's broke.
You would have been legend.
You can't do it. But so that was kind of that. Like, I was talking to my parents after. I was like, we need a priest in the quarterback room or something to pray for us, because it's every year something's happening.
Or a new line code. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. Listen.
Cut that part.
Here's the deal. Speaking of, we can't cut it. It's live radio this time. Speaking of, though, new coaching staff.
Yeah.
The going through the change. We talked about that last time you were here. I think we even talked a little bit about Colin Klein, but getting to know him since you've been here in this early offseason, him and Coach Elko in particular. What are your early impressions and as you've studied the first early impressions of them as coaches, and then I want to ask you about the offense.
It's been a great transition with the coaching staff. It's exactly what we needed in the program. The first week of training right now, you can tell this is what a championship program is supposed to look like. So we're all excited with the training and everything. And the offense, the stuff that I've looked at, it looks pretty impressive. And we're just all excited and get ready to go in the spring.
How do you feel like you fit in the offensive scheme? Because I watched your game, and then I've watched Kansas State, and it looks like it could be a nice fit.
Yeah, I feel like it's tailor-made for me. The stuff that Coach Klein did with Will Howard, I feel like I can do a lot of the same stuff. So I feel like it's definitely tailor-made for me. I'm excited to get rolling.
How you mentioned championship program and what it's supposed to look like. Give us like one or two examples of something where you go, okay, I'm really impressed with this in the early going.
Well, Coach Moffitt and his strength staff, they've done a great job. Just having structure within. Like if you miss something, you have to be held accountable. Like there's no second chances. Like, obviously, it's out of love, but if you miss something, you have to be held accountable and just move on. That's how we want to be treated as grown men. That's how it's going to be in real life after football. So, and then coming from Fresno State, I mean, we won the championship. I know it's not SEC, but just to win, it's hard. And it was kind of similar to how it is here now. So I know what it kind of looks like.
Does the vibe feel different around the players? And I know you just got started, but just the way you guys are interacting, the new guys coming in, the coaching staff, does it feel different?
It does. Even though it's a lot of competition, it seems like it's a lot of love and joy to be here right now. Just going through the grind from now to spring, the summer to fall and then season. So it's definitely a good vibe going on, and everybody's just excited right now.
What did you think of the way Marcel came in and was put in a tough situation and came out there and balled?
I was proud of him. I told him after the game, I was like, man, I'm proud of you. Just everything, like, it was tough. You see the guy get hurt first play, you're not ready for that. So he came in, did a good job, stepped up, and he did what he had to do.
How excited are you about UC A&M and what they're doing in the portal, offensive line, but in particular for you, tight end and wide receiver?
Yeah.
Have you followed that closely? I know you followed the tight end one pretty closely.
Yeah, so got Trey Watson, a lot of other guys from the portal. Definitely helps as a team. You good, man?
Yeah. Go get some water?
Yeah.
This one hasn't been opened.
Perfect.
Nah, it definitely helps, though. Every time I refresh on Twitter, I see another guy.
Yeah.
The Manziel thing. So, but everybody's came in ready to work. We all welcome them with open arms and everything. So,
for those who don't know Trey, tell us a little bit about his game and your relationship.
He's a versatile tight end. He's a guy that can block and also catch the ball. Runs really good routes. Great kid. I know it's his family, really good family, and feel like he's going to really embrace Aggie land. They're going to embrace him too. So glad to have him here.
What are your thoughts on this, like, portal madness? And it just feels like it's never ending.
Yeah.
Because you have one coach leave and then another coach gets hired, and you think the portal's closed, but now the guys get 30 extra days. Is it something that, as you're sitting here at A&M, are you like the fans right now going, hey, more chaos means more players for us? And then in terms of just playing college football today, how weird does it feel to see, like, a guy you played with at Fresno and you come to A&M and then he commits to Washington, now he's coming to A&M, and just all these moving parts? Have y'all as players had to adjust to say, hey, my team, no matter what happens, win, lose, draw, it doesn't matter. My team this year is going to look a heck of a lot different than it did last year, and then it will next year. It feels like y'all are having to make adjustments in order to kind of keep team chemistry at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it was already crazy. Like, you'll never have the same team again next year, but now with the portal, guys getting NIL, coaches leaving. Like, when a coach leaves, you can guarantee he's taking half the roster now with him, and it's just wild. But luckily for us, DeBoer left, so we got Trey. So kind of happy about that one.
What do you think of DeBoer? You probably have some pretty interesting perspective on him.
You know, he's a good coach. He lets his staff do a good job coaching the players. And I'm just lucky he brought me in the Fresno. He recruited me there, so I got nothing but good things to say about him and his family.
Were you rooting for them in the title game, or them or Michigan? Who was your team?
I didn't really.
You didn't care?
Yeah, it didn't really matter to me. I'm just happy Texas didn't get there and win. So.
You mentioned Tommy Moffitt.
Same.
Yeah, heck yeah. You mentioned Tommy Moffitt earlier. Just we've seen him talk. We've seen clips. Tell me what you've seen in the limited time.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that comes with a lot of energy. He gets us going. Like, he's definitely tough on us, but that's what we need. And we all enjoy him and love him. And he just, like I said, brings a lot of energy to the team. But he also makes it fun. It's not like just all work. It's still a fun aspect. Everybody wants to be there and get the work in.
How have you fought? We talked about all those portal guys and stuff, and I asked you about the receivers and tight ends, but have you noticed what they're adding in the secondary? And are you kind of anxious and ready to say, I want to throw against these guys and kind of see what they've got? Because there's such a – not only is there a large number of guys, but those freshmen we saw in the bowl game, I think people forget, were true freshmen.
Exactly.
So somebody out of that group's likely to make a big jump too. So as a QB, how interested are you in saying, I want to throw against these guys and see what they bring to the table?
No, I'm real interested, man. It's a lot of competition in that secondary. It's competition everywhere, but I feel like especially secondary. We got a lot of guys. You got the Alabama guy and a whole bunch of guys after that. So should be fun. They all look like pretty good players. Like you said, the freshmen, they have more experience now, so it's just gonna be fun competing with everybody.
In this new world of NIL and transfer portal, people deciding that they're going to stay. Why was it important for you to stay at Texas A&M?
Well, here at Aggie Land, they embraced my family, and that was important. Like, we love relationships, and the new staff that came in, they were very upfront and honest with us. And that's all I can ask for as a player. Like, you don't get a lot of that in the coaching world or the college football world anymore. So I was just, what the coaches were preaching, I was excited for it. And I feel like Coach Klein, like, we could reach the ceiling and, win a championship. That's the whole reason why all of us came here, to win a championship. And we haven't got one here in the SEC. So that's our goal coming in for this year.
And that quarterback room, the competition there, how much does that make you better? Marcel showing success. Obviously, what Connor's been able to do, what you've been able to do, it raises your level, right?
Oh, yeah. I feel like we got the best quarterback room in the country. We got a lot of guys. We all stepped up when we had to and played and did a good job. So, like, it's definitely, we're going to get better every day. And as a competitor, I love that. I'm never going to run from a competition, love to compete, get myself better and get those guys better as well.
Before we go, I got to ask you, NFL, a lot of good quarterbacks left in this playoff field. Final 8 this weekend. What's your prediction? Who's going to the Super Bowl and who's going to win it?
Well, I'm a Ravens fan.
Oh, no.
Before anybody says I'm a bandwagon, I've been a fan since I was 8 years old.
Really?
When we had Ray Rice.
Oh, yeah.
Ray Lewis, all those, Rashad Berryman, all those
Ed
guys.
Reed still there?
He was still there. Joe Flacco. So I've been
We're familiar with Joe.
Yeah. I've been a Ravens fan, so I got us winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully they don't disappoint me.
I'm a Texans fan. I think the Ravens are going to win.
Yeah.
But it's fun to see Lamar and CJ go at it, man. Especially you play the position, those two guys this weekend.
Now, CJ been balling, and he's from Cali, so I guess shout out to my guy.
Little trivia that you may or may not know. Obviously, you know that Petrino coached Lamar, right? Your old QB coach, OC. But the other part of that is Lamar Jackson beat A&M his freshman year in a bowl game.
Really?
Louisville was coached by Petrino. Lamar was a freshman. He managed to elude Myles Garrett.
Wow.
So you had Lamar Jackson, Myles Garrett. And A&M's quarterback in that game should have been Kyler Murray. He transferred a week before the bowl game.
That's right.
So we would have had the Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, like the Music City Bowl that no one cares about, and it would have literally been Lamar versus Kyler. That would have been something pretty special with Myles Garrett running around at DM.
Yeah. Who ended up playing when Kyler left?
Well, it was Kyle Allen, and he left.
I got you.
And then a week later, so the job was Kyler's. He left. Not the most positive memory for Aggie fans. Right. and then that was under Coach Sumlin. And then it was they literally went to Jake Hubenak, who was he wasn't a walk-on. He came scholarship, but he was a backup at Oak State. Played. As the game went on, some would say outplayed Lamar in the second half. Problem is Lamar had about 350 in the first half. They couldn't come back. A&M had Josh Reynolds and Christian Kirk at receiver, so they mounted a little bit of a comeback, but Louisville ended up winning that one.
I got you.
Hey, Jaylen, before we let you go, so our audience gets to know you a little bit, what are you into when you're not doing football and books? Like, what's your life?
I'm a guy who loves to play Madden 2K.
Yeah?
If I'm not like in the playbook or doing whatever, love to play 2K Madden, and just hang out with friends and family. Really, just explore, do all that stuff. I don't know. I like to hoop. When I get my arm right, I like to shoot around a little bit and everything. So just really open for whatever. Just go with the flow type of guy. So.
Who can hoop on the team? Who are some ballers?
Gotta see who's still here. Bryce Anderson can hoop.
Yeah?
Yeah. Marcel, he could hoop.
Okay.
I could hoop.
Yeah?
Put myself in there.
What position do you like to play when you're out there?
I play shooting guard. Let the guy bring it up and then kick it to me. Either hit the three or slash and dish or whatever.
You can hit threes?
Oh, yeah.
Come on. Call buzz,
Any lefty, you got to be able to shoot now.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, unless you're me.
You're lefty too?
It was like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I'm lefty. I could not shoot, though. That's the problem.
I got you.
Maybe a free throw. Yeah, you saw me outside. I did outshoot.
Oh, you did? All right. We can do the rematch, though.
We can, because I'll be honest with you. Yesterday, no one was around.
Yeah.
And I was about to leave for lunch. I had to sit there for a few minutes. First 3 I made. That's almost impossible, and I might go do it again.
All right, we're going to see.
We got it on tape from the other day. They never – of course, when I do something good, they don't show it.
That was 2023. It's a whole
That's
year
true.
now,
That's true. You do have a broken arm, though. So.
Hey, I'm left-handed.
Hey, let me ask you one final thing about Ainias.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to play in the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Just what did his impact, him on the sidelines, coaching, being around those last few weeks, what did it mean to that group?
Yeah, just having him around. He's a leader if he's playing or as a coach. Just his presence there he's always coming with energy and a great guy just to be around. So we all love him and hope his recovery's going good. Hope he gets drafted and all that stuff. Wish nothing but the best. Love him and his family. So
he's just a playmaker,
yeah,
right?
He is. It definitely wish he was playing, but we understood why he got hurt and then the whole draft situation and everything too. So, but him being there was just great still.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so
Jaylen,
much for coming in.
You're I know Aggie fans appreciate it. We appreciate it. I appreciate just the positivity, the attitude that you bring, not only to the program, but in here, social media after you got hurt. Most people, you're waiting for everyone to tell you it's going to be okay. Here he is going out saying, hey, guys, I'm fine.
Yeah.
That is not go unnoticed, just so you know. So
Thank
that's you, that's your parents, that's the whole deal. So
yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
At your first press conference, I asked you about being noticed around town.
Oh, yeah.
How is that now, man? Like, people know you know you.
Yeah. It's definitely a blessing. I remember I just went to Brookshire with Trey. He just got here, so I went to Brookshire with him. And everybody was like, what up, Jaylen? And I was like, Trey, it's going to be you. Like, it's you win or, like, do stuff, they show love. So definitely got to bring a championship for them. They've been great, so.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Billy. Appreciate you. When we come back next on TexAgs Radio, everyone's favorite segment, Billy's favorite segment, The Fan Show. That's next on TexAgs. Welcome back in. Hey, camera over here. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. It is now time for the
Fan Show.
Woo! Brought to you by Gerard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. They don't just build homes, they build relationships. Learn more at gerard-construction.com. Matt Browning is in the house. Hello, Matt.
I'm here. Good morning.
Royce Hickman making his debut on the Fan Show.
We got
the rookie.
We got true old Army in here today.
So
class of 64 is
Yeah.
what he told me outside. And, he's seen a lot of Aggie football over the years.
What I'm excited about doing today, by the way, he was here last week just watching the show, and we brought up, hey, you should come do the Fan Show sometime. What I like about Royce is he's actually a fan. You kind of become a pseudo talk show host, Kelly, but he comes in here. Can you show the people that first page? I think it was the first page of what you have here.
That's from the championship football banquet in the 67 champions that won the 68 Cotton Bowl, signed by Bear Bryant, Gene Stallings, and John David Crow.
I mean, that's cool.
Talk about the Fan Show. That is exactly what every fan
He
wants.
says he's had season tickets since 1979.
Yeah.
That's the year I was born, by the way.
Right.
Rub it in.
and he's only missed like 3 games in all those years.
Well, 3 home games in, 43 years, 44 years.
Wow. That's cool.
One was because I went to Spain with the city of College Station. That was the reason. One was my high school class reunion, which I graduated from high school out in the Los Angeles area. And the third one was to do the eulogy for a longtime friend of my dad's who was an avid T-set.
Oh.
I told his son, this was your dad's last test of our friendship
Right.
when I give up an Aggie football game to do his eulogy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
that's cool.
Royce, we usually start off the show with an easy question. It's called What's on Your Mind? And you just tell us something. It could be Aggie related or not. I'll start off with Matt so you gather your thoughts.
Okay.
Matt, what's on your mind this morning?
Well, I was, there's a lot of things going on, obviously. I could talk about basketball. I could talk, but one thing we were talking about this morning, I did see that clip of the Horns coach.
Ronnie Terry?
Hollering at the UCF players, about that. And and it's funny, it's what gets me is that, yes, they get their feelings hurt. Now I do want to say though, however, that like I'm not talking, I get that the man bun, blue haired Horns that all have degrees in lesbian dance theory. They're the ones that get their feelings hurt, and they're the ones that get they're the ones that are triggered by everything, and the woke ones. But the Longhorns that we know, the ones that, like, my grandfather was a diehard Longhorn. I mean, the normal ones, right? The ones we all know. You had my best friend from high school, my cousin, my first cousin, who's one of my favorite people, Brian. They actually love the horns down thing. You know that doesn't bother them at all. Yeah. Like, we think that it bothers them. They actually, I'll never forget when we played Bama 2 years ago, or in 21, when Calzada beat Bama.
Yep.
We're sitting there beating Bama. Texas is 5-7. They're completely irrelevant. No one's even thinking about them. And we're on TV. Our students are over there doing horns down.
Yep.
I was getting texts and phone calls from my Longhorn friends because they were loving it. They're like, we're still relevant. We're all y'all think about. So I, for one, I think if we're playing them, the horns down is okay, but I don't like it when we're not playing.
Let me
them.
throw this
But
out.
they love it.
I
They
agree.
don't. It doesn't hurt their feelings.
I
Like
don't
the normal
think
ones.
the Longhorns realize the horns down thing. Yeah, it is a shot at the horns, but I don't think we're thinking about the horns. I just think it's what people do on game days now. Like, it's like, yes, for some it is a disrespect, but it's also like, you know what, thumbs down, horns down, whatever, right?
Well, the thing is honestly, let's just be honest. Their hand sign is cool. I mean, it is.
Oh,
It's
no,
the
it's
best
not.
one.
I can't.
I hate it. Don't get me wrong. I hate it every time I see it. I hate it. But
I don't
they've
think
at
it's
least
cool.
got a cool one that everyone knows. I mean, when you do this, that's the universal sign for good job. I mean, everyone does.
We
this.
went to A&M. Good job.
Everyone does this. But if you do this out in the world, no one thinks A&M. But if you do that stupid, I'm not going to do it, the index finger and the pinky, then people know you're probably a Longhorn fan. So they do have that at least going for them. So it is easy just to turn that upside down, which
turn that frown upside down.
Yeah, that's basically what we're doing. But I'm telling you, the normal Longhorn fans, which there aren't many, and they're all. That's the evil that's in them. They're good people, but the one bit of evil in them is that they cheer for those. But they don't mind it. They actually think it. They like it. So,
Royce, what's on your mind?
Well, I totally agree with you. When we're not playing them, there's no reason to be doing horns down. But anytime you go to watch an Aggie game, that's what our students do, particularly.
But I think most of the people who do it didn't live during the. I mean, they didn't
They don't
grow
even
up
know.
with the rivalry,
They don't
right?
even
They
know
haven't
that.
been around.
No,
So
you're exactly
it's
right.
a game day experience
Right.
thing now,
Yeah,
as
no.
opposed to an actual it's a shot at them. But I just think it's ingrained. Everybody's doing it. Hey, we all do it, right? Like
OU does it too. So we're not the only ones.
Yeah, well, there's so many things. A disappointment of the basketball team the other night to fall behind so far, but then have a great comeback, and you think they won the game, and have your heart ripped out was a tough pill to swallow.
They didn't quit.
No, they didn't quit. It's just that they right there at the beginning they just couldn't get it going, and once they got it going, that's a big monumental task to overcome 20 points in a basketball game. But excited about Elko and particularly your previous interview and some of the things he was saying. The guy's doing a lot of the right things, particularly opening up with high school football, which I hadn't realized that had not been going the way it should have been under the previous regime. But I thought I'd bring up something interesting. I went to the track and field
how was that?
event with a brand new indoor facility, and it's really nice. Stands are completely around it versus the one side this year. And we talk about national championship. There's a coach that's brought 9 of them to our campus, and so Pat Henry does a great job. And it was very exciting, a lot of excitement in the crowd. And so if you get a chance, I'd just suggest that's a sport that could use some.
I saw Coach Henry in the parking lot. Whenever I pulled in, he was, I guess, leaving the cleaners next door.
Oh, yeah.
I saw Coach Henry. So
hey, this is not a shot at you. All right, don't take it as a shot.
I'll take it.
All right, because I agree with you in the fact that they didn't quit. But I just think, talking about the Aggie basketball team, I just think that's the price of admission when you play athletics, right? Especially if you play for a Buzz Williams team. That's the very minimum that I expect is for you to, until there's 1 second left on the clock, or 0, I should say, you are trying to come back in that game. And I also have a different, 20 points it's not insurmountable.
Right.
It's very unlikely though, right? But if you go on a little run like that was the thing about that game initially, was as bad as they're playing, they're actually in it. When you're down 12 at the half and you've shot the problem is they've shot bad pretty much all year.
Right. I mean, the few games where they've shot well, we blow teams out. It's wild. But I mean, Batman needs his Robin, and there was no Robin.
No,
and I think that was the biggest issue. Coleman sitting out. And Boots just hadn't been himself since he got sick, I guess, early in the season.
And I think you said it right. Batman needs his Robin. We don't need a Superman. Right? And that's what Wade has had to become, right? He's had to do these heroic things when it almost feels like it's for naught, right? What we need is just 2 quality dudes scoring 18 to 22 points or whatever that number needs to be, in consistency in the lineup.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And he's and people would complain and gripe that he's taking these wild shots, but those same wild shots are the ones that almost got us beat Houston. I mean, it's the same that when he does that, it's because, I hate to say it, I feel like he thinks that he's the only one that can do it. Yeah, I mean,
I don't love it. I didn't love it in the first half. There were some wild shots in that first half by everybody.
Really poor shot selection in that first half.
I think just being but Wade is a guy that I say, you know what, you got the green light because you can do a 41-point night.
Right.
There's some others. I don't want you taking that shot, bro.
Yeah.
I just don't. Right?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Ross Bjork moving to Ohio State. Royce, you start us off. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it was interesting to me, and you wonder what's behind the scenes there. But I got to know him personally, and I enjoyed. He hired some good coaches
yes,
too.
He did.
And I don't know how much the most recent hire and how that transpired got into play, but good move for Ohio State, I think.
And it feels like a move that probably might benefit A&M because they have a chance to go get somebody better.
Yeah.
I mean, my thought is, hey, good luck to him. I think he did a fine job here. He did hire some really good coaches, Schloss, Taylor, those, so he did some really good things here, but just the stink of the way everything ended had to have played a role. There's no way. And the fact is that every year someone's going to have to cut a check, a big fat check to Jimbo, and
he ain't gonna be here.
And he didn't have to listen to it anymore. You know, I mean, it wasn't his doing. I get it 100%. You know, there are other people. He doesn't make that decision to fire him without approval. All right. So I don't blame him for that portion of it or anything. But good luck to him. I always liked him. I always thought he did a fine job. And but yeah, this does open the door for maybe bigger and better.
So I started at the top of the show with a wish list or a New Year's resolutions for the athletic department. Do you guys have any things that you think that needs to be fixed? Because I feel like the coaches, we've got the right guys and ladies in place, right? Like, so what else does the athletic director need to really focus on moving forward? Embracing NIL, that should be part of, written in your contract. You are going to embrace and evolve. What else?
Man, that's a tough one.
That might be the hardest question for you to ask right there.
I think just off the cuff, fan support for the minor sports or the non-revenue generating sports is probably a way to say that. I don't mean it as minor because, those are athletes out there giving their all, just like the ones we see on TV all the time. And there's a lot of really good young athletes at A&M. You stop and think about it. Our athletic program really doesn't have a lot of the police blotter kind of stuff with it. Our coaches are out there recruiting outstanding athletes that are outstanding people. And I just think it's a good wish list for people to think about some of those other sports at times.
100%.
I think that might be the best. That really is it. I mean, what else can we do? It's not that we don't. I mean, we spend plenty. We've got the resources. I think hopefully pointed in the right direction. And if they're not, we're trying to figure it out. We've got the coaches in place, and I think I agree with that. We like Roy sits here every week and says, pack Reed for the women's basketball team.
Well, and you better do it this weekend.
Yeah,
they got South Carolina coming in. A&M women's basketball has not lost at home this year. They got the number one team.
Yep,
that's a big one.
I mean, that's a big one. I mean, but not only that, like you said, you went to the track and field. Yeah. I mean, look, football. Men's football, men's basketball, and baseball, they've always been okay. But softball. Go out and watch a softball game. Go see track. Go watch soccer.
I got a question for you guys. It just hit me here. Outside of Nick Saban, maybe Kirby, does anybody deserve that Jimbo contract in college football? I think it's just Nick Saban, right? That's it. And Kirby's the next closest one, but I don't need.
No.
Nobody, right? Dabo, no.
No, I mean
Harbaugh, no.
No, I mean it's a
Ryan Day, no. I mean, although he may get it now.
They're gonna get it. I mean, he's gonna get it now. That's good. Well done, sir.
Unfortunately,
I see what you did there.
That's just kind of got out of hand in relation to society value kind of thing, and that's eventually going to turn a lot of folks off.
And when I make this comment, I can tell you at the time it made sense. It can still be the wrong idea, right? At the time, I totally understood the extension. And I didn't think 10 years, because nobody thought like this. It felt like, look at this. We were in the Orange Bowl, number 4 team in the country. Like, what's next, right?
Yeah, look good.
Playoffs. And then the next year it's the championship, right? That's what it felt like. Remember, we were building towards that 22 season, like, hey, when these freshmen are here and all that, like, and it just collapsed. Mm-hmm. And outside of Nick Saban, you can't guarantee anybody can go 10 years of dominance.
It does kind of hurt my heart a little bit that we're the cautionary tale for future
They will
generations.
do a 30 for 30 on this whole A&M era, from NIL to Jimbo to everything that happened. That 22 class, there's different stories you can do. They could do a 4-part miniseries.
Yeah. There's a lot of money been spent.
A lot of people would watch it too.
Yeah, they would.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio with our friends here on the Fan Show, I'm just going to ask you, and it's the easiest question you're going to get of the day and maybe of the year, right? How would you assess the job Coach Elko's done? What have you loved so far? All right, that's easy. It's a Fan Show. We can go easy on this.
Right.
We can go hard in the paint later. We'll do that.
We can handle that.
We're
tough.
They are tough. All right, we'll come back with more here on TexAgs Radio. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Fan Show, presented by Gerard Construction. All right, Royce Hickman, Matt Browning with us. I told you guys what we're going to talk about. Let's assess the first 53 days of Mike Elko. And to me, it's like check, check. Everything is like a check. So, Royce, you start us off.
Yeah.
What have you liked? And there's nothing to not like, I would say, for you.
Well, the first thing is, I don't know how the man has done what he's done in the period of time. His sleeping habits must be down to a couple hours a night is all.
Very understanding wife, right?
Yeah, but it's some of the things that I've been most impressed with, I think, are kind of small in some sense, but like one day to go visit every high school in our community, which they hadn't had a A&M coach football coach on their campus in a long time.
Right.
It's a relationship he's building with his staff. It's a relationship he's building with, obviously, with the success he's had in the transfer portal. He's gone out there and built relationships with these players and done an amazing job with that. And what we heard what Jaylen said earlier about how they've got this championship attitude and feeling, and all of that normally takes a long time, and the man has compressed that. I'm excited. I really am, and I think there'll be a lot of interest in spring training this year.
Absolutely.
Now, when you make a change in any profession, I think that you want to see things work differently, and things done differently. And I think he's done that perfectly. When you go from someone like Jimbo and Jimbo's way of doing things to the way Elko is doing it, Elko is doing things very differently. He sounds different. He talks different. The things he's saying are different.
He talks slower.
There seems to be, he definitely talks slower. Seems to be a little less ego in a lot of what's being said, and more purpose driven, more, all right, this is what we're trying to do. And again, you're exactly right. I don't know where he's finding the time to not only attack the coaching hires that he's done. I mean, and some great assistant coaches on paper, everything looks really good. But not only that, with the transfer portal that has gone bananas. I mean, it's a completely crazy time in college football to go and get 20 guys in the last, 3 or 4 weeks is insane to me. Then also have a recruiting class come in and still be recruiting for that February time frame. And to do all that and still go and see all the high school coaches and try to be part of the Texas High School Coaches Association and try to be a member of the community, and all these different things that he's doing is just outstanding. I have been thrilled with it, and I don't know if anybody else could have come in and done what he's done in this amount of time.
I agree with that 100%. If there's someone else that could do it, it's a very small list.
Yes. Yeah, and that is the beauty of Elko. He got to hit the ground running because of his time here. Yeah. And his time here was recent. It's not as if he's been gone for 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, and I think that's a very crucial statement you just made.
I mean, he knew how to hit the ground running. He knew where to go. But he could see what was wrong before. And when you've been able to see what was wrong before, it does give you insight on what changes need to be made.
At least initially, right? You have a game plan. Do you guys pay attention to the NFL at all?
Yes.
Yeah?
Unfortunately, dadgum stupid Dallas Cowboys.
All right, I was going to ask you, what was more surprising, the Texans winning against Cleveland or the Cowboys losing to the Packers?
The Cowboys. I'm actually not surprised at all about the Texans. CJ Stroud's a stud.
I think if you'd asked me ahead of time, I would have thought Cleveland would have won that game.
Yeah.
But I also thought Dallas would have won their game handily. And in all honesty, that game wasn't as close as the score.
That's right.
You know what? I take that back. I'm taking it back. I think that the Cowboys, the Texans winning is more surprising simply because being a Dallas Cowboys fan, right? Since Jimmy left, right? Since Jimmy left,
I was in high school when he left. Thanks.
I was. In 1990. I wouldn't even. I was still. I wouldn't even. I was 16 years old the last time we won a Super Bowl. And at least I got to remember them. That's at least.
And now you have a gray beard now.
Yeah. Now I'm old and gray and hurting. Things hurt. But no, I'm not surprised at all that the Cowboys lost. How about that? I mean, what in the world made me think that this was finally our year? It's really hard being a Cowboys fan and an Aggie fan in football.
10 seconds or less. Does the Aggie basketball team go to Baton Rouge and win this weekend?
Going to be tough. I'm an optimist, so I'm going to say yes, but it's going to be tough.
If Coleman plays, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's key
I mean,
answer.
You just don't know who. It's Jekyll and Hyde. We don't know who we're going to get.
Royce, great job.
Hey, thanks. I've enjoyed hanging out with you guys
We'll
and
do it again, all right?
enjoyed getting to know Matt.
Yeah.
So
Matt's my guy. Matt, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, man.
Thank you to everybody for watching and listening today. And gig 'em. And what he said, gig 'em. We'll see you mañana.